Nightmare Pro.
What size? What kind? Tell me. I need to know more.
I will send you the details. I'm calling Enterprise Help Desk tomorrow to figure out like what the rules are on what I can do.
What are you talking about? What do you have to do?
Well, I just don't know if I can do whatever I want to with it or not. If there's limitations.
Whoa. Okay. All right.
But it has GarageBand already on it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I can hook you up with far more than GarageBand.
Speaking of GarageBand, hold on, give me one. Let me send this text message, and I will play you guys what I made yesterday.
Yeah, we did a little test podcast yesterday to kind of try out all this new stuff, all these new boom arms, and like hear the wiggling and the effects. So me and Kaylee and Justin just sat in here and caught up.
Did you say wiggle, 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 wiggle? Yeah.
I didn't, because I'm not a fucking idiot.
Well, I mean, I only say that when I drink Jaeger.
Well, we're drinking Coors, and you just said it. Hey, does everybody have a beer? Todd, you don't have one.
I only have one, so I need.
Oh, you do. Oh, you do.
I need two.
I am actually going to have.
I actually like to double up as far as the podcast
Go ahead
beers.
and pop them before. So there's
John,
not
would you like a secondary?
I mean, I'll take a
Alcoholic
I'll take
beverage?
a backup. Yeah, absolutely.
Pass that down.
I'm really glad it's not live.
So today's conversation is going to be a wild one. Justin, are you ready?
Hey, wait. Are we gonna start from here?
Dude, we're started. I do want to say that I'm going to start doing this more often. I'm going to start a more natural approach. I feel like I'm too anxious, and I like to try to jump in, and I say, welcome to Crashcast, and it's like,
Now the podcast.
no fucking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
You clicked on the link.
Wait, what am
It's
I listening
clear
to?
that it's clear that you know what you're listening to.
welcome to Crashcast, the podcast you're currently listening. All right, this is the song.
Let's start.
This is
Hey,
the song.
what about orange soda?
Hold on. This is the
Kale
song.
loves orange soda.
This is the song I made yesterday. Are you guys ready? Because it's going to be really bad.
It's great though.
I learned how to do there's an instrument on here called an urhu, and there's a button that you hold at the bottom while you're doing a string pull that makes a horse whinny. It specifically has a little picture of a horse.
So anyway, today's
Talk into the mic, you asshole.
I was just laughing.
well, I can probably.
Well, you
I can
have to
probably do
laugh into the mic too.
it. Yeah. Actually, no, don't do that.
No, okay.
It's spiked unreal.
Don't do that again.
So, actually, today's podcast was all Todd's idea. I don't even have the laptop or the TV on or nothing. We just have beer, and we just have ourselves, and we just have this crazy conversation that's probably going to get a little dark. I feel
It could get dark, but
I feel like hold on. I do want to say this first, where I want to save the best for last, and I think we all know what that means.
is that
So
when you go
listen.
last?
We're going to go through the roles here. We're just going to go around the table and talk about things. But the episode was inspired. It's called RockBottom-N-Roll. And essentially what this topic is how hitting rock bottom can actually inspire you and make you create things that you normally wouldn't create and come up with ideas that maybe normally wouldn't be there, because anger tends to drive the best out of a creative type, you know?
Not just anger, but struggle.
But you're angry at the struggle. I feel like all it comes back to anger, because we've said it 1,000 times. My Hands to War didn't become a good band until we became angry, because we were very complacent, very, I don't mean to say privileged. I was raised very poor, but we definitely didn't have it bad, and we came up and we didn't have
Are
a
you
lot
talking
of.
about as a band?
Yeah,
we definitely kind of already had a foot in the scene. Just
we
because
had like
knew
a
the
foot
right
in the
people.
scene, and we knew the right people, and we didn't really struggle a lot. But then once everything inside of us started crumbling down, that's when we got good. So it's a neat subject.
It is a neat subject.
The second you said it, I was just like, oh, fuck yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, that's
So-
the subject.
Oh,
you took notes?
do we have like a? No, I didn't take notes. I just had an idea. Because sometimes it takes guts to
Right.
talk about things that
Well, if
you've struggled with. So can I?
there's one thing I want to focus on in this, both of you two, if there's one thing I want to focus on, fuck, piss versus knuckle tats.
As knuckle tats.
Oh,
I also just want everybody to know that on this little sticky notes that I'm writing. It says, "Ensure your world with Chubb with 2 B's."
I have a chub right now from that practice we just got done
Yeah.
doing.
Gosh.
That was a tight.
Hey,
By the way,
Is there a copyright infringement if I play a YouTube video and you hear the sound?
no, not on podcast, but just so we know, Todd's here, John is here, and Justin is here. So those
Hi.
are the voices you're hearing.
Hello.
John's a general name. You should give a last name to that.
Comfort. I love your last name, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Strange.
Yeah,
I
it
like
is very strange.
I've never heard it before.
Very often
Doctor-ish.
mispronounced.
Right, Dr.
It's
Dr.
mispronounced.
Comfort. Oh,
Comfort,
dude. I get Crawford, Camford, Cranford. It's great.
Well, those people are called fucking idiots.
Well, at least you get like
Yes, I
multiple
agree.
wrong pronunciations. I
Right.
get Weber, and that's the only one I get.
Like the seasoning.
Are there
guess
2
what?
extra E's in there, bro?
Hey, guess what? Your
There's
new
only
name
2
is-
B's.
Your new name is fucking Weber.
I was about to say, just for that, for just kind of a weird loop in, I'm going to quote John Mulaney. It's like when people say that Scarface is their favorite movie, it's like my favorite movies are Goodfellas and Scarface. Well, that's cool. My favorite foods are lobster and Skittles.
John Mulaney's hilarious.
I love
You
John
you
Mulaney.
guys underreacted.
He's coming to Conway in November. Maybe we can get
No.
sponsored by his
Well,
promotion
well,
crew.
no,
November 10th.
He's coming like the first week in November in like 2 days, 1 or 2 days. Tickets are going on sale, and my girlfriend is literally waiting.
Are we going to be in town?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's
Okay.
like the first week.
I bribed him
Oh,
to buy
thank
it.
God, because I'm gone for 2 weeks in November, but
Can I play this video?
sure.
Yes.
What is it? Nice.
Here's us.
Here, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, that's really
Here's
cool.
my Aunt Louise.
Can she make us?
We're getting sponsored by.
What the fuck is wrong with
sponsors.
you? What are we listening to, Todd?
The Guts theme song. Like Nickelodeon Guts.
Why?
Wait, was that like the obstacle course thing? that
Yeah,
they
with the
used to have?
aggro crack at the
Dude,
end.
yes.
Because sometimes it takes guts to share your heart.
That's true.
We're sharing our heart
Well,
today.
I was going to
I
say,
don't know if that actually came through or not. You
kind of
can
going back to
edit
what
all
you
that
said.
shit out.
You're like.
I love how you don't know how compression works. It is fucking hilarious.
You're like your anger provides the struggle, and you're
here-
angry at the struggle.
Yeah, no, here's what I want to say, though. Here's what I want to say to you. It's clear that you haven't listened to a single one of these podcasts because you say this every time you're on one, and then the ones you're in, you can hear you flawlessly.
Oh, yeah, I know. But I just like.
you
pissing
fucking
off.
asshole.
No, I've listened to him.
Android fucking user. Dick
No, I
farting.
just-
I use Android as well.
Hey, yeah, well, do you download my podcast?
No, but I listen to them on
I hate
Spotify.
you. I hate you.
I listen to him on Spotify.
Do you download it?
Yeah, they're
I
downloading
get
my
them
phone.
every time.
Oh, you
they
do?
come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Download it. That's what helps. Actually, people listening, that's what actually helps if you download it, because just listening to it the numbers are different. And I can't go to people who will pay me money.
Can I download it on the free version of Spotify?
yeah.
Oh, for real?
No,
Yeah.
just get a job at Starbucks and get it for free.
Yep.
Or that. I mean,
Maybe
but you
I'll-
already have a job that's
I
decent.
do have a
so-
job, yeah.
Is it decent?
Yeah, he has a
it's
decent
pretty
job.
decent, yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
John has a nice job.
Plug for Whole Foods.
Yeah. Works for Amazon.
Yeah, that's right. You do.
All right.
For Amazon? Oh yeah.
Hey,
Well,
are we going
yeah,
to talk about this stuff or what?
Right. Yeah.
Crash
this is all-
gas!
Yeah, fuck you. So anyway, okay, new knuckle tat idea, duck dick. I love it. I want to duck my dick into those tits. Justin, how could you write such a thing?
I think
Dirty
DuckTales
boy.
would be better.
Yeah, that's too many letters.
No, it would be duck and then TA and then on the ring finger be IL and then S.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
IL, like in love
Yeah.
when you flip somebody off.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Todd, don't. Oh my God.
That's actually
Todd
pretty
got them
impressive.
skills,
Todd
bro.
just unhinged his fucking jaw.
Like an
I don't know
anaconda.
that, but I have a big
His
spoon.
anaconda does want some. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, disparity brings about challenge.
I like you, Justin.
and challenge creates art.
Hey,
I think
did
that's
you just
true.
read that from your post-it note?
Well, here's
Or did
what's
you just
cool.
read Chubb?
Hey, I got to stop saying that shit. So I was actually thinking about this all week because I wanted to come up with something, and then Todd made me very angry yesterday. But I didn't realize this until I started thinking about it, that every time something happened musically, like in my music career, I got better. Every band I've ever been in, luckily, I'm not saying it was myself or whatever, but it actually, every band I've ever been in succession was better than the band I was in previously. And I was like, whoa, maybe that is because of the not only just being pissed off because, your band just broke up, which is always a fucking terrible thing. Even when it's agreed upon, it's terrible. And then I was just like, well, maybe not. And then I started thinking about it more, and I was like, no, that's actually it. I got, if something happens, you feel like you get shit on. Let's just be honest. Most of my band's defaults were of my own accord. I was responsible for almost all of them, minus 2. This one and Truth Farm. I wasn't responsible for Truth Farm. That would be a 5th kid. So that
usually stops it.
Actually, you know what's weird? That's the only amicable breakup in a band I've ever been in.
Was Truth Farm?
Yep.
I enjoyed you when you were in Truth Farm.
Oh, dude, dude, next to this band, honestly, like, I have a lot of fun in Lame Johnny, but there's a lot of pressure on me in Lame Johnny that I've never felt before, and that's for a different episode. But that's the most fun I've ever had in a band because it's the least care I've had to have. I didn't have to write nothing. I didn't have to show up, and I just all I had to do was be at the show, play the bass lines, and go home, which tends to be hard for some people. I don't care. I'm saying it right here.
Yikes. But it's there.
So,
It's out in the
Todd,
open.
this was all your idea, so let's start with you, brother.
I thought you said save them best for last.
No.
Then
We're
John
gonna
would
go.
go.
We're gonna go around the room.
Yeah.
Let's start with how this started. Like when, because we weren't always adults and sad. So let's start with.
I've been pretty sad my whole life.
Been an adult my whole life.
So, if someone would have told me what introvert and extrovert was a long time ago, and maybe told me a little bit about, like, maybe you should think about yourself a little bit before you try and go in the world and be with other people, I probably would have been different. But, I mean, for me, screaming music and this whole scene, whatever you want to call it, I don't know if it's a metal scene, I don't know what it is, whatever. I came from a divorced family. I had to tell my mom I didn't want to live with her strictly because I thought that her divorcing my dad was wrong. Because, I mean, there was some stuff that happened in my parents' life. I won't go super into it. But, like, basically my mom said, do these things and I won't divorce you. And my dad did those things and she still did it.
Right.
I mean, and as a 13-year-old kid, I mean, I was 11 at the time. I didn't understand that, Like,
It's hard to
like
compute.
you didn't understand that life is a whole lot not black and white. And so, like, I also came from a family of 5 where, like, the only way they were making ends meet was because they were a family unit and they worked they both worked. So, I mean, like, I grew up pretty shitty. Whenever I played soccer, it was because I worked my ass off. Like, I remember telling my dad, like, hey, all my friends are playing classic club soccer. And America has soccer all wrong, and to play club soccer, it's really freaking expensive. So I mowed yards to get to soccer practice. And then when I got to soccer practice, I was so worn out by all the other crap, I couldn't perform and do anything. So, like, I had this, like, crazy childhood where, like, nowhere ever felt like home until I got into the scene. I remember the first time I went to an After the Tragedy show. And someone said, hey, I'm really glad you came. I hope you come back next time.
Yeah.
And to that guy, he had no idea.
Was it the place in Cabot?
The first time I saw After the Tragedy, they were actually 7,000 years, and they came to my church.
Was it Mercy's Cross?
No, but I did go to
okay.
that show with As Cities Burned.
Yeah, that was my
But,
first show.
They were after the tragedy at that point, though, right?
No, they were 7,000 years
Okay.
then, I believe.
They
That's
played-
what I heard them was
Yeah.
But they played Soul Burns the Body. They played an After the Tragedy song as 7 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
as
and then it
7,000
came
years.
into the...
Yeah.
But, like, that Joel, the lead singer guy, said, hey, I'm really glad you came. I hope you come next time. And it was the first time in my life that I was somewhere and I was really somewhere. Like I'm here because I'm supposed to be here. I know for some reason I'm supposed to be a part of this scene. And oh my gosh, this is really cool. And then I became a regular at Vino's, and like Samantha Allen knew my name as a 15-year-old. You know, I was stealing my brother's car to go to Vino's to see as he was burning.
And for those who don't know, Samantha was the booking agent for Vino. She owned downtown. She was a huge scene influence for
Massive
a lot
impact.
for a lot of years. Yes.
And like, so like this was this place where I got to escape all of the crap that was happening in my life. And then like Nick Hargett was in PM Today. I played soccer with him, and he was a part of the scene. He got me coming to shows too, and more shows, and just super broadening my understanding of shows and this like complete, to me, culture and society.
Right.
It wasn't until like egos really took over the hardcore scene, and when I started to be like, oh, I should probably not be on the floor anymore. But like, there's this super brotherhood of like, I want to be here. But I remember when Bryce and Garrett started Paris in Flames, and I was so excited that my friends were in a band that I like just moved their shit for them. And
yes.
yeah,
The friendly tech.
yeah. No, I mean, I wasn't a tech. I had no idea anything about gear at all.
You're
at that
still
point.
teching,
Like,
though.
but I was just picking up stuff, and I had a trooper with no back seat, so I could seriously haul all of their gear.
Yeah.
I was the trailer at that point.
Yeah, you're the friend tech. Every first band has a couple.
But like at that point in time, like Garrett and Bryce were like guest vocaling spots for Caden and like other people where they'd hop on stage. And so I was like, Garrett, Bryce, let me do this. And they were like, no, you're not. You suck. And I was like,
to be fair, you sucked.
yeah, I did. But I was like super like, oh. So like for me, the birth of My Hands to War,
Mm-hmm.
like me trying to get good at it,
Yeah.
was that of like dealing with this like I want so much to be a part of this, and this is probably my only gateway into it.
So you started off
Yeah.
with sadness getting you
Yeah.
into it. Okay.
So that's my entry into it.
Right. Okay. Well, let's pause there, John. When was your I hate to phrase it that way, but what was the shit that started driving you towards all this stuff?
You know, to be completely honest, for me, you know, music's always been a huge part of my life, and I don't think until really relatively recently I realized how much of an impact, or rather, what I was using music for.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, similarly, you know, to you, Todd, I like my parents divorced. Luckily for me, when I was 6 months old, so I didn't have to go through it like as a a teenager or anything
Confused
like that.
teenager,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So it was just life, you know, that's what I was used to.
Right.
But I did have a pretty rocky and interesting relationship with my stepmom. And that, like, I'm not going to get into that at all, but
Right.
it was, you know, that led to a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, you know, in my childhood. And so I turned to music, you know, kind of subconsciously, I guess, as kind of an escape from that. And
Was it rock and roll music at first, or was it just?
oh, dude, well, I think it was country, really. Like it was
okay.
country music early on for me.
Mine was too.
Yeah. Just like those old school, because like my grandpa like listened to like early Hank Williams, you know,
Johnny Cash,
Merle Haggard,
Willie Nelson,
George Jones, you know, all of them.
I've seen
you know.
George Jones live, by the way.
What, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Corey has seen everybody that you never thought you'd ever see ever.
I used to be really into going to concerts.
I have some original Hank Williams vinyls if you want one.
Dude, that would be fantastic, actually.
I've got 3 like same ones. Anyways,
That's
back
like-
to your story.
So okay, yeah. So it was that early on, you know, just that this sad like true life kind of music, you know, and that's what I grew up listening to, and then, you know, my musical taste evolved from there. But it was more so like, I don't think for me personally it was like the anger. Yeah, I don't think it was like I listened to music and just got pissed off and fucking let everything out. Like it was just I could listen to music and just kind of like escape from the world and just chill,
So,
vibe
like,
with whatever it was, whether it was
you
rap or
inadvertently found an escape, and you didn't realize you were finding an escape.
Yeah, because I was so young. You know, I mean, it was just
How young were you? What age were you?
Really, I can remember as far back as probably being like 5 and 7 years old.
Oh,
Like, I mean, like I was little, but I still have strong, like the memories that I have from that age that are tied to music are so vivid and so strong for me. That I don't know. It's hard to argue with that, as you know, especially like thinking about that and where I am in my life right now, like as far as you know what music has done for me.
Right.
So anyway, so that's kind of you know where it kind of kickstarted for me. But as far as playing music and using it, like using the creation of music as that kind of cathartic release, like that escape. That happened more in my teenage years, because interestingly enough, my dad and stepmom divorced when I was, I think I was 15 at the time. And that was when I told my father that I was like, you know, y'all got this stuff going on, like in so many words, you know, I was like, y'all got this stuff going on. I don't want to come over here anymore. And so that led to a weird, like I've probably spoken to my father. Shit, I mean, it's been probably 6 years, you know.
Damn, dude.
And in the years before then, I mean, it was like maybe 5 times in like 4 years, you know.
Right,
Yeah. So since I was 15, you know, it's been an interesting kind of thing for me, as far as like my family life goes. But anyway, you know, so I picked up a bass, or my mom as a birthday present got me a bass when I was 10.
Wow.
How big was it?
I mean, it was, you know, like your typical, like,
Right.
like you know, whatever. It was a full size bass.
She bought
though.
a full size for a child.
Yeah. And I was going in there to get a guitar, but I was just intimidated by the 6 strings. So I was like, well, 4 strings will probably be a little bit easier. So. But anyway, I started off on bass. When I was 15, I got my first acoustic, and then that's when I really started just like I was the kid that would spend 6 hours a day just in my room playing guitar.
I feel you there,
you know, and so yeah, I mean, like I would get, you know, bullied at school, or, you know, like whatever bullshit that I was going through for the day, like I could go in my room and just play guitar, you know, and so yeah, like I feel like that kind of shaped my own personal, like how I deal with shit, you know, and
Right.
so
and now you're the badass in the band, and they're the 40 somethings.
Yeah, and so I found bands and dudes that were like minded that wanted to write music.
Yeah, it was pretty much instant for me, man.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw you playing, I was like, "That's our guy."
Oh, shit, thanks.
So he's got a lot of that same demons. You can see.
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah, absolutely.
And mainly just because I'm finding out stuff about you that's
Yeah, for those who don't know, us and John are actually relatively brand new friends.
so
Very fresh
like-
friendship.
I feel like I am closer to who I'm supposed to be now than I ever was growing up, strictly because like I am definitely an extrovert, and I think part of the struggle for me growing up was that my life circumstance made me want to not unload on people. And so I was like an extreme introvert. Like I didn't talk to anybody.
Right.
My nickname in high school was Todd because I put headphones because I didn't want to.
Yeah,
like,
you just wanted to be
carry-
in your own.
Yeah.
Fucking, yeah.
I mean, that's still your name in my phone.
So like out of curiosity,
It's Todd Weber
when
in mine now.
when you to where you're at now, like were you that way in when you were growing up as far as like introvert and now you're different, or
Man, it's actually been kind of an interesting cycle for me, dude. Like when I was younger, I definitely was an introvert. I didn't. It was weird. Like I went to a private school, but I didn't come from money, and so very like I didn't hang out with kids from school, you know, and so I was introverted in the sense that I didn't really go to many social functions, you know, like I'd get out of school, I'd go home, I'd do my thing. I didn't have, like a lot of friends or social things that I would go to outside of school. So by default, yeah, I guess I was introverted.
well, I mean,
then.
like I actually had like I don't want to talk to you because the only thing like I don't know if you know this about me, but I am 100% honest 100% of the time. So if somebody says, "How are
Now.
you doing?"
Now,
No. Then even then, if someone asked me, "How are you doing?" I'd be like, "Blah."
Okay,
And
I got
because
you.
of my experience with that, of like, here's all the crap I'm having, and
Yeah.
no one really knowing what to do with it, I would have anxiety about people asking me that. So then I
Okay.
would be like, I'm not going to talk to anybody.
No, so in that regard, for me, it was kind of interesting because I had to get. I actually kind of had to get to the point where I could lie about shit like that.
That's dangerous too, man.
Yeah.
Hiding behind lies.
Yeah,
Is
and it was
always never good.
And that was something that actually I realized relatively recently about my past self. Is that like because of the kind of relationship that I had, with my stepmom and my dad, I had to I almost had to train I was pretty manipulative. Like I had, and not in I'm going to manipulate you so I get my way, but so I don't.
So I don't get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I don't get hurt.
Right. Yeah. And so, so for me, whereas you would spill everything out of someone, I would kind of I just twist it, whatever the truth was, however I needed to twist it to, have a
satisfy.
To satisfy whatever. Then that's what I would do. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, I remember the first church camp I went to. A small group leader had to walk over to me and "Hey, Todd, there's 3 other people in this group. I know you're going through some stuff, but
suck it up.
We're gonna connect later, and you're gonna not talk this time."
I like that guy already.
You're gonna not talk.
But for real though, I had so much just on my shoulders, and I think that's why my and Store started off as a Christian band, and I believe that we are still good people with good morals.
I like to say we were a Christian band that turned into a humanitarian band because we wanted to help more than just the people we were preaching to.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I mean, but I'm still a Christian. I still have faith,
Right.
and I can say that. But there's so much struggle that's there, and I've carried it my whole life, and that whole mentality. And when I went to church camp, I was like, "This is a safe place." And it was the most selfish thing ever because I didn't ever tell other people, "Hey, what's up with you, man?"
Right.
And yeah.
Well, we all internalize shit differently, man.
That's
that's the most Todd thing I think you've ever said.
What?
That statement you just made might be the most
Toddism.
I just blah all over everything. It's yeah, that sounds about right. Dude, Justin, do you mind if I go?
Yeah,
and then I kind of want to tie mine into yours because I feel like our childhoods were vastly different.
Oh yeah, no, my childhood was vastly different.
So I feel like my parents got divorced too. I come from a divorced home, but here's the difference: my parents were friends. They stayed friends through the whole thing. I was raised very poor, but very well. My dad worked fucking 3 jobs. My mom had 2 jobs. They always made sure I had everything I ever needed, and they raised me to be, considerate. The first man I was ever in was I was really naive. I thought everything, sky's the fucking limit always. I had nothing but passion, and both my parents backed me. My graduation present was a full stack. Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
So I grew up from love, I don't have these same kind of stories until later on.
Well, now I'm going to interject just real so my mom supported me heavily as well. So I didn't mean to make it seem like everything was all fucking great.
Yeah, you were really
and
quiet
rainy
about
skies.
your mom.
Yeah. No, my mom
was actually
no. So she was great, and she I believe it might have been my graduation present was a fucking a badass Epiphone Les Paul.
Oh, nice. I think Justin actually had an Epiphone Les Paul too.
Yeah, dude. So I definitely had support from both her and my grandparents were the ones that bought me my first acoustic guitar.
Okay,
so I had the support.
Well,
from,
we all have it from different angles.
And the other thing that I'll say to rewind about my mom, because if she ever listens to this, she'll beat herself up if she doesn't get to this point. My parents were the best thing that could ever happen to me, and I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for them.
None of us.
So
I don't think.
But I have to say that, or if she doesn't get to this point, she'll be like,
"Yeah, no, I get it." But I came from a broken home, but a together community. Yes, a community, an extended community. My family was always great. My support system was large. My friends circle was very large. My phone still to this day has 400 contact numbers, and I can call every single one of them. I've always had that stuff backing me, always. But in my early life, as far as my musician life, I didn't even get into music till I was in 9th grade. like I was telling you earlier, like
Right,
my buddy Rocco, I watched him play the solo to Freebird, and it just sparked this thing. But I was always happy about it. The first time I ever actually went to Perryville was to hang out with my now wife. Then, oh God, I'm burping so much.
Then girlfriend.
Then very new girlfriend, like 3 weeks into boyfriend girlfriend phase.
You just said boyfriend, girlfriend.
Girlfriend,
phrase
yeah.
Girlfriend.
On
GURL.
Up
That's not how you say it.
podcast.
Girlfriend.
I hate you.
BFGF.
Anyway,
BFGF.
Stop this podcast
So anyway-
now.
you know, I didn't even really meet these guys or anything. And I remember having a conversation with, I think I went to, was it McAnally's church, Justin? Is that
Yeah,
right?
Momo Valley.
With Derek.
Yeah, Derek and Nathan.
And Nathan and my wife. And they were all like, oh, well, you're a new guy here. Like, what's your life like? I was like, my life's fucking amazing. I work at a venue. I play in these bands. I do all this cool shit. Like, my new girlfriend's amazing.
And you said new shit.
I
I do all this
definitely-
shit in a
yes.
church.
All this new
Yeah.
shit.
well,
no.
no,
and that's
to-
the amazing
fucking
thing
rad.
about Cory.
Well,
Like,
to his credit, the McAnallys, Dick and Debbie, who are both still pastors at that same church, are both very open and honest people, and they raised really, really good children, and they're all real. I'm really.
I agree
close
with that. They're
I'm
awesome.
I'm really close with all of them, and they're all like, they're very just open minded, and they understand.
But like, I'm just saying, like, my drive didn't change until way later. Like, I used to be like, I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. I was a fucking asshole. I was such a spoiled, and what's crazy is I was raised, I mean, literally bread and butter. But just, I was raised well. That's the difference. I had a support system. Everybody always backed what I wanted to do. So my early band years, I was more of an egotistical fuckface than a kid who's downtrodden and trying to make a career out of it. But I always did give it 110%. Dude, my first band played in front of Sony Records execs. Like, I always fucking gave it my all 100% of the time.
hold up, what?
Yeah, I've told you that.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
No.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we played a showcase show for Sony and Epic Records.
What?
Yeah, at the Coyote Ugly in Dallas, Texas.
What?
Yeah. I've told you that before. I know I have. I've told everyone that. My
I don't
first
pay
band.
attention. I hear it now. It's on record. I hear it.
hey, that's
Next
okay.
podcast.
So the next time that I'm like, what? You're gonna be like, it was on the last podcast.
Well, no. Before he gets back into that, you and I still have not had the conversation of how you turned down a contract from Rise Records.
Well, I mean, we sort of had that whole conversation. That's
No,
for later.
I didn't know.
Me and
any of
Cory
that.
did.
That's for next year. That's for next year.
Okay.
Which we can have it after this. But so I came from different circumstance, same like scenario, but it turned out differently for me. And then I didn't start getting the edge, like the anger, until this band, like My Hands to War. I literally didn't have anger in my music. I was always like gung ho. I always was like happy about what I was doing. I was always like, oh no, I'll just make it happen. And I always took the reign. Always. No one ever had to lift a finger if you were in a band with me. That's the way it was. You know?
I agree with the fact that once you entered the band, you did a crap ton for us. But I feel like that anger happened for you once Sid and Bryce left.
Yeah, that's exactly when it
Like
happened.
right as they left.
Right.
Like it didn't happen until the next time somebody left.
Yeah.
I don't remember when that was, but
That would've
like
been
the
Earl.
next time somebody left, that's when you were pissed because you had put so much work into it. Like at that point in time, you had like, I could have gone to Dallas. Not only could I have gone to Dallas, but like we're on the verge, and you and I knew
Yeah.
how close
We
we
were-
were.
We were the only two that knew. And I feel kind of bad about that these days.
And
I wear that shit around on me.
But like we
As you
knew, but like not only that, once you knew that it was possibility, okay, this is really a possibility. I'm gonna work my ass off and make
I
this
worked
happen.
even harder. Yeah.
Yeah, and so once you threw that much effort into it,
But I
that's
put,
when you got super angry,
Right, and I put-
because you looked around, you're like, what are these dudes doing?
well, I put the amount of effort that I like. It was almost a competitive effort, which I like to think of myself as not competitive. But now that I reflect, this podcast has opened my eyes up We're only 12 episodes in.
You
I'm
are
a
the most competitive dude
I'm
in
a
this whole band.
I'm a very competitive person. I didn't even know that.
I'm glad you figured that out on your own.
Thanks, buddy.
God damn.
But I was
Every time you meet Cory, hey, look at this new thing I got.
yeah. Look at this new thing.
Look at this. Like, as we're
But it was-
walking into this podcast, hey, Todd, guess what I did on Saturday? I met with one of your heroes and
Yeah.
hung out with him for
For
2
hours,
hours,
yeah.
and you weren't there because you suck. If that's not competitive, I don't know what is.
But I didn't realize that. I just thought I was doing neat shit, and I wanted to tell people about it. I didn't understand that that was competitive edge.
For those of you listening, it sounded like at first he said I was just doing eat shit because the end might not have.
I was
caught.
doing neat shit.
I got it. I got it.
I enunciate very well. Thank you very much.
He's not competitive at all. Now
this-
he's going
this
to
whole
over-enunciate
podcast.
the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, he's just very aware.
How do you say banana?
But it's just strange to me that we all came together. We're years away from all this stuff now. All the bad shit. Listen, dude, the worst thing that's ever going to happen to us has happened.
Yes.
That's it. The worst thing that has ever happened to us is going to happen as far as a band.
Okay.
Now, personally, we could all lose parents, and we could. There's plenty of things that bad left to happen in this life. But I'm saying, as a band, and John, it didn't happen to you, but I mean, you were around. You saw it happen to us. I'm sure there's some sort of empathy towards the situation.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, it's weird that we all come from similar backgrounds, but mine was the
I don't
polar
know.
opposite of you guys.
I
And
would
it took-
say Justin doesn't come from similar because his parents are fucking same.
amazing. Well, that's what I want to get to. So but here's the deal. My parents were also amazing, but what my parents did that your parents didn't do was they knew better. They knew they didn't get along, and they divorced on purpose. And was it bad like at the beginning? Sure, it's going to be. Divorce is messy. I don't care how amicable it is. Enunciation, bitch. Amicable. I'll say it
Say
again.
it 5 times.
Amicable, amicable.
I think it's amicable.
Yeah.
Hey, I think John has
I think it's-
critique.
Amicable. AMMI.
Amicable.
There's no L after the M, bro. Amicable. Sorry.
God damn it. I hate all of you.
Enunciation.
His spelling is bad. His internal spelling is bad. He only enunciated because he didn't know how to spell it right.
I spell checked my post earlier.
But not your words now.
I don't have it. I don't have a spell check in real life. That's true.
I
am your spell
Justin
check.
is my spell check. He's also my music check, my note check, my vocal check.
You don't even need a fucking phone.
No, I don't. I'm thinking about getting rid of it and just being like, yo, Justin, here's my thoughts. But anyway, I think it's unique that I didn't, until I was in this band, I actually didn't have like many, like the band before this one breaking up was sort of a gigantic pain in my ass and kind of a slap in the face.
That day, because I was here
Right.
when that happened.
Yeah.
That was the biggest. I was angry for you.
Yeah, a lot of people were. I still to this day back that one wasn't me. They blamed it on me, but that wasn't me because I did everything, man. I did everything I was supposed to. But
then
something
some
happens,
falls out.
man, and it happened in this band. Something happens when you're that close to success.
Yeah.
It's a really make or break moment, and most people realize that maybe that moment's not theirs. Maybe that's not what they actually wanted. What they really wanted was to just play music locally and just kind of have fun on the weekends.
Yeah.
And for me, that's when it started kind of cropping up. That's when it all started kind of changing. It was like, oh, so I'm in this alone is what I'm doing, because I've got the actual heart for this. I want this. Dude, if you'd asked me previous that band, even months into that one, I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to be a rock star. Like, for sure. And this shit just never happened. It's weird.
That's bullshit. You're a rock star right now, bro.
Yeah, local. I don't think local counts.
I'm
counts
sorry,
for me.
you're not a
Tier
rock star
one-
that
tier
ended up
one rock
touring
star.
the world and like doing cocaine and overdosing on a regular basis. No, you're not that. But you're a rock star, meaning like you do stuff right, and when you play the same way, no matter if it's 1 or 500.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, like to me, that's rock starring. Like
Yeah.
going ham, no matter what. that's rock starring.
Like
So-
just to piggyback off that, like I've never told you this, but we're getting into some deep subject matter. When you joined the band, I was like, we have a fucking legend in our band. I still feel that way. If you cry, I'm gonna punch John.
Don't make me cry because that was.
That's how I feel all the time. The fact that I get to do this shit with you is unfucking real to me.
I don't think that
You get-
Rockstar is
you
that
get
really
goosebumps,
crappy movie that was released.
Corey gets goosebumps really easily when he
You know
gets
what I'm talking
emotional.
He's
he also
getting
gets-
misty-eyed right now. I see it over here.
He's getting,
Yeah, that was
you get a
deep.
little- you get
that
a
was
little,
deep. That meant a lot. I'm sorry.
You getting a little chub?
I
also,
am.
Also, read this other nuck tat, so it
Let's see,
brings you
nuck
back down.
tats.
On other notes, my fantasy
BFGF.
football team name is Thielen on my Chubb.
As
I have
knuckle-
Adam Thielen and Nick Chubb.
Jesus Christ, he won't let me speak. BFGF and shit. I love the shit. I don't know what BFGF.
Boyfriend, girlfriend face.
God Almighty.
I wrote that
I
as
hate
soon
it.
as he said BFG. It's the first thing I did.
Next,
All right, so
I
Justin-
am committing the fact that the next song we write is My Hands to War is called BFGF face.
I feel like mine and Justin's might actually coincide, but different stories.
Slightly.
Because I want to reiterate, Justin has the coolest fucking parents of all fucking time.
Yeah. Kate Cole
And
is
John, I know
amazing.
you haven't met these people yet, but the
You
first
will.
fucking moment you do, you will fall in love with the Coles.
Very
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
Very excited.
They're great people.
All right, so
They
start
cook
this
better
off.
than me and Corey.
To start this off, hi, I'm Justin.
Hi, Justin.
Hey, what's your middle name?
It's William.
It is
And
William.
I don't like my middle name because people will call me Bill sometimes, and I used
Billiam?
I used to work with a guy at the grocery store that I worked at named Bill, who was a piece of shit, and he always pissed me off.
Hey, in other words, what is your name in my phone?
I don't know what my name in your phone is.
Really? You don't remember it?
You've never told me.
Yes, I have.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's-
Let's pull up the file.
It's this just in my phone.
I knew that.
And the picture was you with tape over your mouth, but now
That was a great picture.
yeah,
that was a
it's
great
gone
picture.
forever now.
No, I can get it back and send it to you. Why are you?
Yeah, why? Oh, Todd, what is that?
Oh, J to the C. Oh, that's right. I knew that. Wait, you still have that picture as
Yeah.
my
That's from the
from the
Montana, video.
video. Jesus, that's like 9 years old.
You still have that shirt?
No.
the
No,
color
fuck
dream coat
no.
flannel.
I've seen that video.
Have
No,
you
that-
really?
Yeah, dude. Is
Hey.
it like a trailer, like fucking mobile
Yes.
home kind of
Hey,
thing? Yeah.
listen, that's this house.
Is it really?
Yes,
What? Is
that's
it
right
really?
out front.
Wait,
That
is
was
it the one
before.
where you like drop kick somebody.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's him.
Fucking drop kick me.
It's so funny. Oh my god.
You know what's hilarious? That's my first film thing ever. That's the first thing I ever did getting into film was that video.
I wanted to name that video, like not call it Montana for the video. I just wanted to call it Justin the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
That's
flannel.
right. I remember that.
Yeah, we fought against that.
So anyway, Justin's story,
Okay,
how his life.
I will
his-
interrupt only 3 more times during your story.
That's one. God,
Good God, that doesn't count as interruption.
No, that's on me. So
air's not on, Justin. This is a stagnant room. Why'd you do
you
that?
can just flap open the door a little bit,
Flap it open.
Just-
flap that door open.
like beef curtains. All right, so
Yes.
my musical interest was peaked at a very, very early age. The first album I remember listening to was
Hey, I
cas-
said this is my first interruption.
That's two, Todd.
Just, no, this is one. To remind you, this is like entering your struggle.
I know.
We know. We're gonna get to that
No, I
part.
just wanted to interrupt
Jesus
him because I told him I
Christ.
would.
Well, that's part one of the struggle is Todd constantly pissing me off. learning how to push my buttons and make me do better was Todd's probably second thing he ever did in the band. The first was, "Hey, let's start a band." Second was, "How can I piss you off but keep you?"
We wrote
in?"
a song about it. Don't push this button. Push that button.
Yep.
Yep.
That
wasn't an interruption. It was an agreement.
But my musical interest kind of peaked really early. I grew up listening to a lot of like Southern rock. ZZ Top's Greatest
Okay,
Hits was
yeah.
the first album I remember
See,
listening to.
Leonard Skinner was my big one.
Leonard
Yeah.
Skinner was
Fuck
also
yeah,
big.
dude.
Old country, and then like late '80s, early '90s country. Like to me, Alan Jackson and Garth Brooks were like
Dude,
the last.
Garth
two.
Brooks is my fucking
Garth Brooks
favorite
is the shit.
country
Seen him
artist,
live.
dude.
All right, we
I
should
sing in
make My
karaoke
Hands
all the
to
time,
War
man.
open
All the
for
time.
Garth.
What?
That'd be amazing.
Mance
I would
Award should
open
open
for
for
Garth.
Garth Brooks.
Hell yeah.
I'd give John's left nut to open for Garth.
I give my
would
right one,
both my
so-
nuts. I don't need fucking kids. I would give all the nuts.
Anyway,
I'd cut off all your nuts to play with Garth Brooks. Fuck
leave me
every one
one.
of you.
anyway, so yeah, musical interest peaked at a very early age. I used to drum on empty shelves in Walmart, and when I was like 11 or 12, my dad and mom were basically like, "Fuck this, we've got to give him something to, get his mind off doing this in stores." I was a good kid growing up. I'd never got in trouble in public a lot because I saw other kids get in trouble in public, and I was like, I don't want that shit.
Right, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would get my ass beat at home, but never in public.
So you've been passive for a long time, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been snatched.
That
up
actually
in
makes a
public
lot of sense.
many a
Yeah.
time.
No. I adhered to a lot of rules strictly because I didn't want the repercussions.
Because you had a big brother.
Makes sense.
I did have a big brother.
Makes
and
sense.
and I'm smart. I'm very intelligent.
You are very intelligent. I think that's part of one of your biggest flaws as well.
Is that I'm so fucking smart? Oh, totally.
I feel like it brings you down.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Ignorance truly is bliss.
Yeah. Anyway, so my dad checked me out of school one day when I was in 6th grade, like at noon. I was like, I didn't know I was doing anything, and he goes, "Oh, don't worry about it." So we drive to Conway, and he buys me a drum set. We set it up when we get home. My brother at this point has already been playing guitar for a couple years because he's like 5 or 6 years older than I am, and he and I jam a lot. Mostly Metallica covers. I remember the first time I ever played Master of Puppets all the way through. I was like, I cannot believe that Lars Ulrich does this every night. And then once I got older, I was like, God, Lars Ulrich fucking sucks. And Metallica's been one of my favorite bands for forever, but
Saint Anger. That's all I gotta say.
the music on Saint Anger is great. Fuck what everyone else says. Lars Ulrich is a piece of shit, and that tinny ass snare needs to get thrown in a fucking river and then set on fire.
You see, that's all it takes.
God.
This is not an interruption, just a description of what's currently happening. Corey is actually the one insulting Justin.
Yeah.
not
Oh, no.
me.
I just know what it takes to set him off.
Yeah, egging him on.
I'm sorry,
when it
pushing
comes-
the button.
When it comes to Metallica, all you guys be is like, hey, Saint Anger sucked. I'm like, listen, motherfucker, hold on.
Right. The music is good, goddammit.
Right. So kind of backwards from you guys, I never developed like anger or aggression and all that stuff until much later in my life. Like probably around the first time we broke up was the first time I started to get angry about shit.
Adulthood, man.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when it really clicked
Yeah.
in for you.
Um,
That's when it became noticeable, if I'm being an honest friend.
drop.
And Justin is here drumming to Todd's interruption number 2. Are y'all done?
Yeah, I was about to go into it. So to kind of start with the music though, like the very first band, I used to write stuff in a notebook. I actually used to like hand tab out everything.
that's what I did.
Like, and because I was a drummer, I knew rhythm, so I
Dude.
would like do like the 8th note connectors. and all
Actually,
that
when
stuff.
we first started this band, that's how you gave me stuff, was all handwritten tabs.
handwritten tabs. Yep. And then I did that for a couple years, and then I joined up with some friends from high school in this band called Evacuate the City, which
ETC!
Not
so
an
that's one of the first times Todd and I like hung out was at an ETC show at
yeah,
Old
where's
Juanitas.
Ephraim at? I'd like
It's,
I want him to show up again.
Ephraim is Ephraim's married, he's got a kid, he's got a job, and all that stuff. Ephraim and Steven were 2 kids that I graduated with. Like they're my age. They're actually both 2 of the old, like there's only like probably 10 or 11 kids that are actually older than me in my grade, and they're 2 of them. They had been in a band with some other people that were like a year older or 2 than me, and then those people left, and then they wanted to kind of start a little bit more of an aggressive style project. Technically, you would call it radio rock. You would call it butt rock.
Okay.
But I still think,
Aggressive, right?
I still think ETC's music was.
Hold on.
Let's let Todd have it. He's burning up.
I
over
feel
there.
like aggro rock, Yeah, I'm gonna go heavy alternative.
Heavy. Okay,
I don't think
that's
aggressive is the right word.
That's fine. Heavy alternative rock.
Okay.
And Ephraim's a fucking amazing guitarist.
True.
But like we did that for a while, and I inputted like a song or two, and then basically it kind of came to the point where I was still doing ETC, and then once we started My Hands to War, I was having a lot more fun with My Hands to War. I felt like it served a better purpose for me because it's what I wanted to do. It was more coincidental with the music I was listening to and the music that was inspiring to me. So I quit ETC and focused on My Hands to War full time, and then I never properly wanted to convey a message more with playing songs until Todd sent me the lyrics for 557 in the evening. When you sent me those lyrics, I was like, okay. I was like, Todd's written about personal stuff before, but I was like, this is like, because I kind of saw that situation. I wasn't there when that exact situation happened, but with the person involved, I knew stuff behind the scenes. You can talk. It's fine.
Not interrupting, just adding understanding
No,
to this.
this is important information.
So basically, after Garrett died, my best friend at the time, or one of my best friends at the time, he died. I met a girl at the funeral, and we came really close and really serious really quick. And in my brain, I was like, this girl pulled me out of the worst time of my life. I'm going to marry her.
Right.
And she had different ideas, and I had like already bought a ring to propose to her.
Oh shit.
And then stuff went south, and so like it went south in a really bad way. Yeah. And so I wrote this really awesome song, and it turned out it was really about things that were happening internally, and I can tell you all about those lyrics when we get to the next phase.
I actually do want to do a podcast about early lyrics versus now lyrics.
Oh God,
I feel
please.
like I got the idea from Nathan. You know, his podcast.
Yes.
He did that. He bravely brought lyrics to a fucking atrocious song that he wrote, and it is bad. And I have one too. And I'm just gonna give the name as like a little teaser, but it's called "Jump the Rail." It is quite the shitty ass song. But then I
Is
want
it about skateboarding?
no, it's about jumping the rail at a concert so you can stage dive. Yeah, that's a real thing I just said. But what I want to, yeah, Justin is recoiled.
Anyways, back to 557 in the evening.
I'm
and
sorry,
Justin's story.
but then I want to read Half Off Sale. I feel like that's the most
Half Off
poignant
Sale's
shit I've
great.
ever written. Yeah.
You should also read Upheaval.
Okay, fair enough.
So 557 was the first song that we had in our arsenal at that point where I really truly felt we had something to say because I saw this happening to a friend. Mm-hmm. This wasn't some third party. I can understand this situation. Like that's how I used to write songs, is from a third party perspective, like lots of yous and all this stuff. There was never any I's.
Yeah.
And then Todd put the yous in such a way that it was closer, it was more tangible. You could feel the shit he was saying. Like it's not written in the lyrics, but like right before we did that last, the da-na-na-na-na, he says like, bitch, you were never worth it. Like every time he says that, even when I can't hear him in the shed, like I just know that part's coming. That fucking lights a fire in me, and it makes me go fucking ham towards the end.
There's a lot of things now with our newer stuff that when Todd's lyrics come in, I'm just like, ooh, that is fucking deep.
You really do don't get me wrong, I'm super proud of the music I create, and I'm like, yeah, this is really good. When you finally come in and you kind of put that last little bit on top of it, that makes a fucking awesome 7-layer burrito.
I feel like people won't understand Todd's growth until the other one comes out. There's a podcast we did that won't come out till early next year.
Right.
But if I'm just gonna sidebar, dude, you've really become quite the philosopher, and the shit you write now makes my fucking skin crawl, and in a good way. It's just like, holy shit.
I don't know how to take compliments.
I don't either.
Hey, you write good. You write words good, man.
You do words well.
Thank you. Thank you all, and it means a lot.
Okay, so anyway, back to me.
I know there's only 4 people.
I'm
in this
important.
Justin wants to talk about himself.
room. I'm not interrupting. I'm just responding.
Enough about
true.
me. Let's talk about
So
me.
yeah, so 5. Toby Keith.
Johnny Bravo.
Number 1, me, my, oh my. You think what I like, what I love.
I thought Toby Keith and fucking John was referencing
Like
Johnny Bravo.
yeah.
Gross to all of that.
Do the monkey with me. Come on. Anyway, so 557
Jesus.
started it. Then once I kind of started doing other lyrics and writing stuff with Todd, writing stuff against Todd. I think that's how a lot of our stuff works when we write together. Is it's against each other.
Yep.
Even when I still went to church and believed in God and all that stuff, I still came from a more, what's the word?
Skeptic.
Yeah, like a more skeptic approach, like more grounded in quote unquote realism.
Yeah.
Whereas Todd wrote from a personal reflection. But I think that drove our songs to be better because Todd would take the best parts of what I had, combine it with the best parts that he had, and make this amazing song.
But it was also realism was finally starting to kind of interject itself into our
It's
lives.
creeping in, yeah.
Like, I don't really feel like any of us had it like terrible. I think maybe Todd had it the worst because if anybody knows Todd, if he doesn't have bad luck, he has no luck. Sorry, buddy.
I love
Other
it.
than when I met my wife
Right.
and met you guys.
Well, slightly different circumstances, but it took
Yeah.
7 years to make all that good. So
Yeah.
let's just be real with each other.
But
I feel like Justin came from like such a good place and had such a good life for so long, and me too. Then you guys kind of had like that darkness kind of in there already, whereas me and him, it was just like, oh man, we can just do these things. And with his brain, dude, he took off like so well with it, and me, it was just so forced because I used to want to like build shit. I used to want to be an architect, which is still, in my opinion, art.
Oh,
Just far different.
absolutely, yeah.
Just far different from
Why'd you stop? I have one interruption left. on Justin, by the way.
my thoughts on modern schooling.
Too much fucking money.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's that it's I don't want to get into it. It's a farce. It does nothing. And I could build
I agree.
I could build unreal things, and you guys know this about me. I don't even want to get into it.
I think 80% of it is wrong. 20% of it are the people that are inside saying, "Well, I can change it," and not get anywhere.
I actually think it's like 98%. I think we need. This is the only political thing I'll say. The reform we need in this country is definitely starts with our education, and that's where I'm going to leave it. I 100%.
Cory Fisher for president.
I
Next time he
100%
chooses
agree
it.
with people going to school, but I don't agree with how we do it. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. But let's get into the thick of the shit.
All right, so
Me
we
and
just,
Justin were raised well. Todd was raised like shit. Sean, you had like a bumpy childhood. Let's get into the big part. Well, I think my first turnaround, I think we all know, we've said it before, we're going headlong into this band. You guys convinced me to not move to another state.
It took a lot.
It was mostly Todd,
Yeah.
which I have said this before. I've stated this before. I hated Todd. No, that's a real statement. I did not like him for a long time, but I trusted him in the beginning, if that makes sense.
you didn't like me, but the words I said were
Yeah.
things that were like, oh, because I told you truths at that time.
Yes,
Like-
yes.
Like, Cory, let's be real. I don't think you should move because of this and this.
Right.
Like, what do you have to lose by staying? And when I said that question, I remember you being like, fuck.
Right.
Like, that was
right.
it.
No, that's it. I actually remember that conversation. And it wasn't over the phone, but we weren't at practice. We were somewhere.
No, this was before practice. It was in Conway.
Okay. Right. Right.
It was the first time I asked you, like, hey, do you want to do this?
Right. So it was at the
Because
studio.
I remember asking you before that,
Yes.
Do you really want to move to Dallas? You're like, I don't really know.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Like you said, I don't know. And in
I have
my
a lot-
brain, when anybody says I don't know,
Well, the only thing I knew is that I had a life that was guaranteed.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pay rent. I could move in. I could just get my own thing started. And you know what? It's a bigger city. I'll find people to play I'll find people to play music with. It'll all work out. I was very optimistic still at the time.
so in my opinion, that is hilarious.
I mean,
Because I gave you advice
Right.
that I didn't listen to.
right. Well, upon further inspection, yes, Todd did not take his own advice.
You know what I mean, though? Like,
no, yeah.
I'm having that epiphany right now.
That's
of
great.
like,
That's great. So I stayed and we started doing these things. And at first, I think most people know at this point, I was a gun for hire.
Yeah.
I didn't care about the songs. I didn't actually put like my heart and soul into the music.
You played what I wrote.
Huh?
You played what I wrote.
No, literally, beat
Better.
for beat. I didn't just play what you wrote. I didn't add a single bit of my own flavor.
That's fact.
Like I didn't add anything to what we were doing. And you know,
and you didn't add input to like, Bryce, you suck at that. I remember the first time, and it was like, I don't know, 8 months into your band, into you being into my store, and you were like, Bryce, can you just do it right? And that was the first time that you had critiqued anyone.
Yeah, it literally took about a year for me to start being vocal about it. But not any slight towards you guys, but it took that long for me to get over. I just didn't want to be here, man.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't want to be here. So many stupid things had happened, and the last band breakup was hard. That's the first time, like I was saying, like real shit actually started happening to me. Where when that band broke up, I was 6 months and I played drums every day for 2 hours a day, and nobody wanted me to be in their band. I was talking to a lot of people, and 2 weeks before you, Todd, brought me the hey, why don't you just be here? I was just like, I'm fucking done. I'm done. I'm going. I'm leaving. I know I have a fucking home in Texas. It's where I'm from. It's where I should be. You know, all those things you tell yourself to make it right. And I'm just like, fuck it, I'm done. And then Todd hits me up for you because you're incredibly passive. I don't think people understand how incredibly passive Justin is. He hits me up. He says, hey, Justin's drum set, we want to use your drum set. Please, can we use your drum set for this record? Man, I guess I had it packed up. I had boxes. Dude, there's still boxes. Look behind you, John. You see that box? That's literally from when I was going to move to Texas. It's still packed. Yeah. I haven't touched the shit. There's boxes out in that shed that are literally still packed from when I was going to move. I was so gung-ho. I was like, dude, I'm done, dude. Todd had to convince me, hey, can we borrow your drum set? And I was like, dude, I honestly don't know, man. I'm about to move. Like, it's packed up. He was like, please. You didn't pay me. So I honestly don't know. You have a tongue of gold, you snake.
No, I think I said, hey, like, it would mean a lot to us. I don't know if you've ever recorded an EP before, but we're doing this we don't have any money.
Right.
And it would mean a lot to me, and I know how much you care about music. I know you went through some crap, and I saw the crap that you went through. But it would mean a lot to me if you would help me with this.
A lot of people did.
And I was just honest with you about that, and you were like, all right, cool. And I was like, I'll do all the work. And when I got here, you were like, nope, you're not touching my shit. I'm putting it in your car for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to unload it.
Yeah. That actually happened. And then something weird happened on the way.
And wait, I have to say this. We fit Cory's entire drum kit, which was huge, in a 2-door Honda Civic.
It was a 24 by 18 kick. It was a 13 by 9 rack tom, 16 by 16, and an 18 by 16 floor tom.
And all of his cymbals.
With a ride, 2 crashes at the time, and a pair of hi-hats with a double pedal.
And the snare.
And a snare and the stands for that, plus my throne.
And a 2-door Honda Civic.
So did
It's
y'all
one
have
of my
both
greatest
seats
feats in
just
life,
Scooted
'cause
up all the fucking way, knees to chest.
I got no. It was just me and the drum set in that car.
That's it.
But like, I got there and he was like, "This ain't gonna work. You're a dumbass." And I was like, "No, it's gonna work." And I think that's really the turning point where Cory would trust me, because I was willing to go as far as humanly possible to make something happen.
You definitely were, and that definitely did help. We had communications earlier in our careers and stuff like that, and I wasn't even really thinking about it, dude. And then something happened. They had guys on the way to the studio, and one of those guys was apparently going to quit. And Todd talked me into staying. I don't know how he did it, still to this day. I really don't understand, because, dude, I was so set. I still have shit in my house that's packed up for that trip.
And how many years ago was this?
2009. Was it 2008 or 2009?
It was 10 years ago.
Yeah, 2008.
Damn.
The end of 2008.
Yep. It was 10 years ago. And I'm still fucking here, still putting up with his bullshit. And what's crazy is even after I'm going to say it, disbanded us, I fucking stayed here.
That's on you.
Well,
Hey,
no,
why
it's
don't you
on
stay? I'm gonna leave.
No.
You had your chance.
No, hey, listen, it's not on me, it's on Justin. Me and him have become so close as friends that I was like, I can't fucking leave now. And you know I'm right. I had this idea for this band.
take care of little old Justin?
No,
No, it wasn't like
was
that at
nothing
all.
like
It was
that.
more like, how will I ever find another person as good as
That's
Justin?
100% it.
Like,
how will I ever
how
get-
will I ever find as good as friend and as brilliant as a music writer?
And who the fuck can put up with my dick-headed ass?
That is
No
a
one.
great adjective about your looks.
Headed ass.
No one. No one. No one is the answer. So we start this band. That I've had the idea for 12 years, longer than My Hands to War's ever even been a band.
Which is actually, let's be honest, a better My Hands to War. Because your rock and roll is real
It's real. It is
100% of the time, and we were not real.
It's
Hey, just so we're clear, I never got to talk about how awesome my parents were. We moved on way too fast.
well. I just want to get into everybody knows. Nobody knows.
All right, hold on. Let's give him 30 seconds, and I'll interrupt him in the middle. 'Cause I still have one interruption.
My parents rule. They come to almost every show. They've always supported me musically more than probably anyone ever will. And
Moo.
when they die, I'm going to be very sad.
They ain't never gonna
Fuck
die.
you. I'm gonna be very sad. First off, Justin's parents were the only people in our last show that held up a recording device the entire time. His dad, I don't know how his arms didn't physically fall off.
Yeah, my dad has video.
He had an Android tablet at the time. And
No, mom had that. Mom did that.
Okay.
Dad took pictures.
Listen, that thing was in the air the entire show. She has every single second of that final My Hands to War show on tape.
At downtown?
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Well, you suck. You don't get to see
My
it.
vocals sound like garbage, but
Yes, they do.
it's bad. It's really bad.
But at the time, none of us were giving a fuck. That podcast is coming out. But let's not even get into it.
Did you have a monitor on?
So we go through some shit, and I want to get back to the main topic.
Anger. When did you
Well-
get angry, Cory?
Honestly, I saw the hints of it when Bryce and Sid left, same night. We're going headlong into this thing, and I'm starting to put my all into it. It started on tour. It really hit home for me. Like, man, this band's gonna do it, dude. We're on tour. Holy fuck! This is the first band I've ever been in that's done this. I've had some
Did
away
you
shows.
book that tour? Did you make that happen?
I helped. I didn't book the tour. I helped. It was
It was Sam Ashes.
Yes, it was
Okay.
Sam, Ashes of Augustine, and me kind of being like, oh, yeah, we can do that. Or like I was basically just an informant for our band. It wasn't really any of my doing. But so we're on tour. We're writing these new songs. I think what was the first song was AM?
No. The first song that we wrote on tour was PM.
Okay, so PM.
AM was written before you came in.
Right. Okay, so PM, they're writing this song, and I drove
birth of the Zeal Bill.
That's true. I'm driving the whole tour. This is when it all really started for me. I'm driving the whole tour because I don't trust anybody. I drive, and they're working on it in the back, and I'm like, oh, that's the first time I ever chimed in with like, what if we did this instead of that?
Yeah.
I don't even know if it made it. Honestly,
It did.
okay. Well, they did make it. So that's the first time I ever chimed in, and then
You said we need to do the come and get some.
that's right. That's right. Oh, before the breakdown. That's right. So anyway, that happens, and then Sid and Bryce leave, and it wasn't Bryce leaving, it was Sid leaving. I love Bryce still to this day. Like, he's an amazing person, and he has a great
It
heart.
was when Sid locked us out of our stuff.
Right. And all of a sudden, all the things I'd been working towards, and I say me because that's the selfish me. Everyone obviously clearly was helping, but I was the one really spearheading, like getting the contacts, texting, making the phone calls, like that kind of thing. And it just kind of happened, and I was just like, that was my first real, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, I had it with the other band breaking up, but not like as much because I was just kind of done. I was almost over it, to be quite honest. And then they leave, and I'm just like, no, fuck you. No, I've put everything into this. I've done it all. I've done exactly what you're supposed to do. You know?
Yeah.
Not just what you're supposed to do. I did everything you asked me to do.
Yes, I did it all. And at the same time, I had this friend, Michael, who was a fucking piece of shit, who came back, and I also tried to get him like involved in it all, and then he fucks me over at the same time, and so then I get really pissed off. And that song, High Fives for Nepotism,
Yeah.
that's literally that. So like that's when that song and 557 and
Lumberjack.
Lumberjack, they were all written almost back to back. If you look at the chord progressions, you can almost see it.
Yeah.
Like, just speaking as a musician, like, you can actually see like, oh, these are very similar songs as far as chord progressions go. And drum parts too. You can hear a lot of the same almost kind of fill parts.
Right.
Because the worst thing you could ever do is write songs back to back. Give it a week, give it 2 weeks. Don't ever.
Not just because you're in the same thought process of like, here's where my hand is, but
Right.
also because you're in the same thought process of
Fuck these
this.
motherfuckers. Yeah. Well,
Like, it's like every time you get mad or
Yes.
struggle with anything, you're in a different.
and I'm not saying like, oh, like elitist fucking, overprivileged kid. It really was in my music career the first time I was ever actually upset about the way things were going.
Yeah.
I felt like I was robbed.
Yeah.
And
you
I
had
was-
a chance for a taste, man. I mean, you
Right.
almost had it. Like,
Yeah, no, dude, we were right there. And I've been there more than once. That's what's even shittier.
Mhm.
I've been on the cusp of,
Breaking out.
yeah, that's a good word. I don't want to say famous, but like breaking the mold and getting on a thing and being on tour full time 3 times in my life. And it has been taken away every single time. And one time by the person in the room right now. But it doesn't,
I'm kind of sorry for that.
it takes a lot of years of like reflection and self-evaluation. And you realize like, well, actually 98% of that was me. But I've never been a better musician, and I've never put more of myself into anything at all. And Lame Johnny and My Hands to War are pure reflections of that. Like, you can see it in my face. When you come to a Lame Johnny show, you see, I mean, that's pure heartache. Those lyrics aren't fucking around. I don't know if you've ever paid attention, but it's 100% real. It's realism, like, personified.
right.
And I'll talk to Justin. We have a song, and I'll just go to my darkest moment. My darkest moment wasn't when Dustin hung himself. My darkest moment was everything that followed. Like, last year was the worst year of my whole entire life. Hands down. And I'm still trying to function and be a human when all this crazy shit is going on around me. And I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to be, but Todd and Justin can speak to this. I just do. I don't have like a stopping point. It's just like, oh, just keep doing shit. You'll figure it out.
Right.
It'll all come through in the end. And
You need to get bored, man.
I don't know what that means, bro. I really don't.
You do. You're about to go on your first vacation in 10 years.
10 years, yeah. It's weird, dude. Ball sack. No. Right. But anyway, so I hit this all-time low, and you can just hear it, man. The new shit we're writing is so... what's the word, man? I don't even know. Like, it's so in your face. It's so real.
It's difficult.
It's difficult to say. Like, dude, even there's a song called... Justin, help me.
Insignias?
No. It's this Lame Johnny song. It's super pretty.
Ode to Gates?
No.
Wait.
Maybe we could be good again.
Oh, Dirty Hands.
Dirty Hands. Sorry. That's
Dude,
how much.
Dirty Hands has one of the fucking catchiest hook choruses I've ever been a part of. Hands
But
down.
I also can't get through that song without crying.
Yeah.
Because it's about just, you can make it past this. You can get past this bullshit. And on the other side, it always is better. Always. And it has nothing to do with, you know, the Dustin thing. It is, I'm not even willing to like even talk about it. It was so terrible. But it's just like one of those things where I was writing songs with Justin. We weren't even a good band, dude. We had people that were not, they didn't want to be where we were going to be. They didn't want to have the same goals, and it took a long time to figure all that out. But now we have songs that are just, you know, we have a song called Mouth Breathers. We have a song called Cowards. And it's stuff that no one's even going to hear for a couple years, which actually really saddens me because it's the best thing I've ever written. But it took all of that bullshit, and it took me and Todd becoming like best buds. Like, it took all of that shit. It took finding you even recently, you know? And then when I write stuff and I tell Justin, I'm like, hey, man, I think I'm going to be just 1,000% honest in this song. And if it offends you, do you mind if I still say it? And he was like, no, I'd be pissed if you didn't say it. And it's just like, if you read the lyrics, you're just like, holy fuck. Like, this is so dark. But it's like a rock and roll band. It's crazy, man, how being that far down, I've never been that way in my whole life. Like, I feel, you know, like Todd said, he's still a Christian. I'm very agnostic. I still believe in something. I just don't know what it is. But, you know, after all the bullshit, after all the things, I still, like, look to, like, I don't want to call it a higher power, but something for sure. And I'm just like, man, to be able to come through all of this bullshit and still make songs that people can connect to. And, you know, when I'm up there being a front man, which is very foreign.
Wild, right?
Yeah, it's wild, dude. It's very weird.
Everyone should do it once.
Yes.
Justin already did it.
Listen, I already 100% agree with that. Everyone should try to be a front man once. If you have something to say, you should definitely be a front man.
I don't count Manic Red for that. I just count the one show for my store.
But disappointment call. That's hilarious. Which that was like fucking literally 11 years ago. But
I love you, Justin. That counts as my third interruption.
Oh my God, you piece of shit. I definitely, if you want to talk about the lowest of lows and like RockBottom-N-Roll, that's it, man. Like, that is it for me. And I didn't start writing real music until 2 years ago. It didn't start coming out of my soul until around that time. Like, I've had a pretty blessed life, if that's what you want to call it. I've had a lot of great things afforded to me. I've always paid my bills on time. Like, you know, I complain about my work, but it's still a great job at the end of the day. Like, everything has always been bright, and then just something happened where the first time ever I experienced what most people experience, you know? And now I have some where I used to be very apathetic, you know, pull up your sleeves, just do the damn thing, which I still have a lot of that, but I have a lot of empathy too. Perspective forces a lot of things. And I'm not saying that I'm like, oh, I feel sorry for everybody. I'm just saying that it definitely made me far better human and a far better creative than I've ever been in my entire life. And the only person really I feel like that in this room that can speak to it is Justin. Like, he has seen me grow. And honestly, in the last 2 years, like, just from my own perspective, like, unreal.
I can speak to it as well, but from an observing standpoint, as well as a just the fact that my hands to war is a thing again.
Yeah.
Like, as much
That
as
immediately shows growth.
yeah, to me, I mean, because I never thought it would happen after my decisions that screwed us.
Well, I didn't either, but you know, it
Here we are.
it took a lot. It took a lot for me, man. You guys don't even understand how much that, like, and like, I have to apologize for it now, which is kind of hilarious, but I used to be such a fucking dick. Like, everyone can understand it. Everyone knows me. I'm, like Justin said, he's like, well, we have a legend in our band. Dude, people didn't know me for being this awesome drummer. They were like, they knew me for being like this fucking figurehead of, you're kind of an asshole, dude. Like, you suck. I appreciate what you're doing. You're driving the force, but I want to kind of like go on my own way. Like, I didn't see what I was doing. Do you understand? Like, I did not focus on, I'm creating things with other people that people can attach themselves to. I didn't, man. And you know, a lot of that shit didn't hit me till we broke up. You know, we had people messaging us, not just close friends, but people from other bands, people that we touched their life. Like, we literally, dude, I can go back and read that post and just cry. Like, people like, you guys changed everything for me. You showed me that there are people who care. Damn. Like, you guys put so much into your band. It's just like
That kid from Ridgeland, Mississippi,
yes,
reached out to us directly.
yes,
Like, I think it was a text message. It was
Yeah.
a group text.
yeah,
And to me, that meant a lot, strictly because it was like,
We only met him that one time.
we only met him that one night. He put us up that night, but like, I don't really.
But that just goes to show you, dude, you don't know the impact you're having. But here's the difference between now and then. I am aware.
Yup.
I am hyper aware that this band actually does have an impact, and we do mean something to somebody. And I'm never going to stop caring about the impact we might have. I'm not saying we're the most influential band ever. I'm not saying that we matter to anyone at this moment. But all I have to go off of is when we broke up, there were people who wept over the fact that we weren't going to be some sort of light in their darkness. And dude, you want to talk about rock bottom and roll? Like, that was it. We were at our fucking lowest ever. And then little did we know that when we go through all the bullshit, we don't even know things that Todd's going through, and we come back together, and then all of a sudden we have this other huge thing happen to us. It's like, not only are we solidified now, but like, our message is clear, our content is the realest it's ever been, and there is no stopping how far we're going to take it. And it's just, at this point, it's just age. You want to know when my hands to war is done? It's when we age out. That's it. When our bodies physically can't do this anymore, that's it. Because I'll stop at nothing to make sure no one has happened what we've had happen to us.
No.
I'll never stop. Dude, everyone that posts a sad thing now, I messaged him. I'm just like, hey man, like, you know, whatever it is, call me, you know? I'll never stop. Even Justin, when he gets in his feels and he says something, I'll message him. Hey bud, what's going on? Tell me.
So John, you need to talk more so we can know.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm taking up the thing. Like,
No.
I wanted to get to.
No, I wasn't talking about this. I was
No,
talking about like
definitely,
in life.
I want to show people.
I
like,
want to get closer to John. So
How
that
a-
we actually know.
how a good life can turn into a, not necessarily like a good. I had a very blessed life, and I didn't understand realism until very later on. You know, I was in my late 20s before anything really truly fucked up happened to me. And Justin's even seen it. I've spent a lot of time apologizing for those things, you know? It's not that it's great that I learned and grew from it, and it's not that I'm not still have some of those things, but I definitely do value certain things, and I'm definitely not afraid to talk about anything anymore. Used to, dude, like, and Todd can speak to this, and we can just go to Todd. I didn't have any empathy at all. I had none. The day Todd told me that he was going to move, I told him he was a fucking idiot.
I actually told him I was thinking about moving.
Yeah. And
I didn't actually say I am moving. I said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this."
And I said,
at that point in time, it was actually a question.
Right.
Like I was actually looking to Cory to be like, "Hey, Cory, what do you think about this?"
Right.
And I said, I think you're a fucking idiot, and I think that's the worst thing you could ever do.
And so you moved.
Yeah, because I was like, "Well,
okay, I'm out.
you don't like me, obviously."
Oh, it's not that I didn't like you, and I had to explain this to Justin earlier, and I'm just, dude, it's great. This podcast is opening up so much things. I had to explain to Justin was it yesterday, Justin? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was yesterday. He came over, and Todd there were some miscommunications. It's Monday now, and we're recording this. And I'm talking to Justin, and I had this realization a couple of weeks ago. You know, I've stated in an earlier podcast that I blew up on him, and me blowing up on him wasn't the old me being just a selfish piece of shit. It was me. I love him so much that I was so mad that I felt like he didn't tell me something that I refused to let him leave my house.
Oh, you're talking about when Justin...
Yeah. And until he told me what it was. Because in my brain, I refused to let it happen to me again.
Yeah.
And honestly, had he not told me, I probably physically would have held him here until he told me.
Yeah.
And it did.
I could have got weird, but...
Well, I'm just saying, like, that even took me a couple weeks to decipher. Like, why did I do that? Because, dude, it caught me off guard. As much as it caught him off guard, it caught me off guard too. Like, I didn't understand, why am I acting like this? Mm-hmm. And it didn't really click that it was like, oh, it's because, like, dude, you mean the fucking world to me.
Yeah.
Literally. And all of you, everyone in this room, like, I feel the same way about, like, it fucking.
But me mostly.
Well, yeah, that's actually true.
But seriously.
But, we'll hand it off to you, Todd. I think I've talked enough about, like, the darkness that seeks in. I'm not going to say what happened to me last year, but what I am going to say is that I'll end on this. Like, it was unequivocally the worst year of my entire life. And for such a privileged person, it hit home so hard that now I physically refuse to let anyone walk away from me feeling a certain way. Yeah. Even if I barely know them. There's a person, and I'm not even going to name names, on Twitter that is constantly talking about how they don't want to be here anymore. And I am literally 2 posts away from reaching out and inviting them to my house and just, like, showing them that there's people that care, even if I don't know you. Yeah. I care.
Yeah, sometimes all it takes is a conversation.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that works. But it's been, you know, I'll let it breathe a little bit, and I'll just be like, maybe it's just a day. Maybe it's just a bad day. But it's been like 10 consecutive bad days. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this person might be on the verge of doing something really stupid.
Yeah.
That they won't have the chance to regret. You know.
Right.
But that's where I'm at. Todd, I've told my darkest secrets. So
I don't really need to talk about I mean, like, there's been so many shit things that have happened to me in my life. Can be extremely honest, or I could just tell you that, like, every song that I feel like has been good in My Hands to War have been the ones where I'm pouring everything that I have into it. So, like, we've written, I don't know how many songs, but we've only recorded so many. Mm-hmm. Because there's only so many that actually have the passion that measure up to doing it.
That's actually a really good point.
I I don't know how to explain it other than the fact that like my entire life has been shit. And so I don't really have anything to compare to rock bottom until I'm in it. I have a new one that I have written that I haven't even shared yet because I'm still so mad about the past 2 months of my life that I can't even do it yet because I'm not in a point where like I can
Share it.
Like you haven't actually dealt with it.
I haven't
Thoroughly
dealt with
yourself,
it
or-
enough
yeah.
to where like if I were to say those words nightly, it wouldn't do detriment to me.
Mhm.
There were a lot of times where the rock bottom naturally, like I was in a room with dudes that supported me, that I was able to let it all out. Like earlier, like the blah happened in that shed and in the practice space of the way it needed to happen, and how I processed that struggle was through the shows, through the crap, through everything. And because I never really, until 557, shared what the meanings were for the songs, the dudes didn't really, I mean, like, Justin and Cory didn't get into the songs that I was writing because they didn't know anything. Scholar's Folly is about how I had kissed and basically dated a band member's sister and didn't tell him about it. And if anybody had known about it, it would have been a completely different dynamic. Which I've told him about it now, so it's not as big a deal. But like, everybody knew what 557 was about. Everybody knew what Lumberjack was about. Everybody knew what nepotism was about. And the string of songs that we wrote for the EP, everybody knew what they were about. And for me, like, those are the points in time where you are really revealing your soul. We were in another band called Shinfo, where I'm not a dumb person, so I can do what's told to me. But My Hands to War has been the entire time my life at rock bottom and me sharing it. And the reason why it's continued is because it's this soul grabbing thing. Shinfo didn't get very far for me because I couldn't deal with it. Like, it wasn't me. It was something that I was, hey, write it about this. Okay, cool. The only 2 songs I can remember are ones that were really My Hands to War songs, in my opinion, that got written. And ones are really catchy. Concussion Grenade is the most catchy thing ever. But like the other 2 songs, Clint Beastwood.
You're welcome.
Was probably one of the most real songs about alcoholism that you could deal with. And it's about how Christianity, like, I don't know, churchy Christian, I don't know how to explain it. Like, religion in itself does not serve what it's supposed to serve. And so if you're an alcoholic who has a problem, if you say, I'm an alcoholic with a problem to someone who is like goody churchy,
You're ostracized, man.
hey, I'm sorry, you're kind of a risk. You know, like,
Right.
you know, like that's the part of Christianity that I
actually did not know that. I didn't know that that's what that song was about.
Beastwood?
Yeah.
yeah, I keep Christ.
I honestly thought it was about Clint Eastwood.
So
No.
it's Clint Beastwood is about alcoholism and Christianity and how people don't like, because my stepdad, who is an alcoholic, and it's crazy. I'm gonna decipher this real quick.
Yes.
My stepdad was an alcoholic. By the time I met him, he had figured out that life was a certain way and I need to live a certain way. But the past that he had before he ever met me was the worst thing in the entire world.
It's pretty bad.
And so alcoholism, I was never really touched by it until I met him. And he was like, so he took me to AA meetings. And I saw these people that just like had a group of people that they poured everything out.
Are you talking about before your own problems?
Yeah, before my own problems.
Okay.
Well, before, yeah,
Yeah.
because my problems didn't happen until after he was convicted.
Right.
I mean, because Garrett died.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. I know.
Garrett died, and then a month later,
Yes. Yeah. We don't have to get into it.
No, I'm gonna be honest. My stepdad was convicted of a crime that happened 20 years before I met him. But like, I had completely and utterly like looked up to a guy that he was literally living another life. I don't condone anything that happened before I met him, but because he was an alcoholic, the church that I had grown up in was like, I'm sorry, we don't really like you for that. And then when all the news came out about what had happened 20 years ago when he was on drugs, I mean, there were people in my church that ran me off the road. Like literally, there was a dude that I had sat on a pew with that pushed my car, like NASCAR rubbing,
Like literally ran
pushed
off the
my
road.
car off the road because I lived in a house with a guy.
What?
I was never put on statement about whether or not I condone
It's
what he
pretty
did.
bad, dude.
Like
Yeah.
it, and so like that was that point in time for me where like I gotta get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And that was 2009.
Yeah.
And I dealt with so much crap, and I just had like this thing where like I don't know. So like I would say that if there was a rock bottom of the rock bottoms, that was pretty crappy because I had to move out of my house. So I had moved home from Russellville to help my dad, and then I moved in with my mom when that happened. But then I had to move out of my mom's house. I had moved in with my mom to support her because these things had happened, and she needed to be supported. And then we moved out of my mom's house because literally there were news trucks in our yards. There were people from our church that were literally like, I think that you're a terrible person and you should die. Like,
Wow.
we got those things.
Yeah.
And so, like, I got to this point where I was like, I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Mhm.
And this was the only thing that I had an outlet of and, like, totally poured into. So that was a rock bottom that, like, I feel like supported me because I totally came in this building and, like, regardless of whether or not you believe it or not, you were here for a reason and you saved
Right.
me in that moment.
Right.
And then Colorado was another one because I went into this drunken stamper of like, I got to get out of here. And I couldn't leave. I just got drunk all the time. And I think there was like 3 years of, or maybe 2 years of stagnance in My Hands to War because I was so drunk I couldn't write.
Yeah, it was a solid 2. I don't know if it was anything past that, but it was definitely 2
Yeah.
years.
And then Earl left, and then I kind of woke up at that point in time, and
I think it was too late though.
yeah, I was ready to leave, and so then I went to Colorado, and that's when I realized how much Arkansas had really supported me, and how much of a selfish jerk I was. And then it got worse because I moved back, and I had to face all of it.
Yeah.
And then I met the person that was gonna like pull me out of all of it, and I like even further saw how low I was
Can I
and
interject?
where I needed
Can
to
I
get.
interject a little bit?
Yeah.
That fucked me up a little bit, to be quite honest. When you came back and when I learned about what had happened in Colorado and the fact that I basically just, fuck you, like, I mean, that's literally what I said.
But you also didn't know.
Yeah,
You didn't know.
Of course I didn't know, but it doesn't, it's beside the fact.
Well,
He-
now it is, yeah.
But here's the deal. Todd felt a way about me that I did not feel a way about him. He called me on purpose to have, like, be it advice or whatever it is, or just a friend telling another friend, a thing. I was just like, yeah, fuck you. I honestly don't care.
So I called him and told him like, hey man, I really think I messed up. I messed up the last 2 months before I left. Because I mean, I
and
left,
my words were no shit. That's yeah.
and not
Yeah.
only did I mess up, I think that I really hurt you. And I really hurt everything that we could have done because me and him were the only ones that knew that we could have made something bigger.
Yeah.
Because
Could have is a would have is a
Yeah.
fairer statement.
so like all I had to say, like, you don't need to carry any of that.
But I'm saying at the time, no, now it's all water under the bridge because the things that have happened to us are so surreal that there's literally nothing now. And I'll say it till the end of the world. We're better than we've ever been, and we're happier than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And I don't care how low we get.
We've got each other to pull it out.
It doesn't get lower than what we've been through.
Yeah.
Last 2 months were pretty fucking low for me,
listen.
but I didn't get to where
But
I was
I
in
don't
Colorado.
think. Listen, I don't think, and I'm just going to be honest here. I don't think there's a single person in this band that's going to kill themselves again because the support network that was built from the last guy that did made it impossible. Because like me blowing up at Justin, or what I would do to any of you guys, man, like I'm not going to let somebody leave here that I feel like may be ready to make a bad decision. Yeah. Even if it's not suicide, if it's just some sort of, I know Justin's not an addictive person, but even if he would, tell me, oh, I'm doing this thing and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I'm not, you're not. Well, guess what? Now you're staying here. Yeah. And I don't give a fuck what you have to do today because it will, not saying it will never happen again because that's just naive. But it's definitely,
it won't happen without action.
Yes. If somebody decides that's the route, I will have done everything I could. Right. I promise you. Because I knew.
You knew about Dustin.
I knew.
Yeah.
I knew it.
You're just not going to find yourself in a position where you
when it happened,
like, I could have done something else, or I could have done.
I reacted, but I wasn't even surprised. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it didn't come as a surprise to me that somebody I knew was gone, and it was from their own accord. Yeah. So, never again in my fucking life will that happen. Never.
So I think I remember the one rock bottom for me that completely changed my outlook on.
I just want to say I'm incredibly sorry.
No.
That's the things I said, and had I been a better person, there's no fucking way I would ever say that to anyone now. Never.
I hope that if I ever get there again, you just say it out of spite at this point.
Did.
No. Listen, I think that if I ever do it again, that you're just like, hey, fuck up, Buttercup.
Even the person I'm talking about on Twitter, I've never met this person in my entire life. They followed me, and I followed them back. And it's to the point where I'm just like, I can't at least say something. That's where I'm at. So
the rock bottom that I was about to just explain was, I remember, so when I moved back from Colorado, I was in a house with Justin, Dustin, Bryce. I mentioned this on the podcast as well, but like there was this, like, it was the realization of like knowing that I wanted to marry this girl and knowing that I couldn't be a husband to this girl in my current state.
Right.
And I remember Dustin talking to me about, like, I was telling him about how the father of the girl that I wanted forever basically put me on these 4 things about my life. Like he said, he works in glorified fast food, doesn't really have any direction in life. Like, what does he do other than drink with his friends? And I remember telling all that to Dustin, and Dustin was just like, so the problem isn't that dude. The problem is you, Todd. And you should wake the fuck up and do it. And that was the point in time where, like, my rock bottom got to the lowest that I could ever be, because at that point in time, I had gone through this huge transformation. But, like, the healing that happened because a friend said, here's this. And almost all of the outlier stuff we wrote, which was basically just a continuation of My Ends to War with Bryce.
100%.
Like, that's all it was. That entire album of music that I wrote was all about that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, and it was the most real music that I had written in however long that was. And that's the turnaround point for me, for when, all right, I'm going to start making decisions that don't suck.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to have to come with terms of the fact that, like, yeah, I made a lot of shitty decisions in 3 years. There's a lot of people that I screwed up. There's a lot of people that I screwed over. There's a lot of people that I'm going to have to beg and crawl to get to the point where I'm friends with them again. And even if I'm friends with them, I never thought that I'd be friends with you ever again.
I didn't either, man. I'm not gonna lie. If it wasn't for the, I call it a Kaylee talking to me and convincing me to ask Justin, Dude, it never would have happened. It never
I
would've
need you to know that there's about 15 other people that I've done that to, and only about 3 of them have been
Right.
good with it.
Did you literally just do this and say 3?
No, I did 3.
Okay, sorry. I couldn't see the other finger.
across the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a mic stand in the way. So, anyways,
We have
that's
these
me.
great- yeah.
So
Hey,
I
John,
mean, like,
how's your unicorn going?
What?
I don't know. I'm just trying to lighten up the conversation and get fucking real.
Well, that's the whole point of
No,
this,
I
man.
know, and it's
So-
going to get realer.
So
So to rewind in the fact that like rock bottom is not a terrible thing as long as you have someone
a support structure.
that says, check yourself, man.
Yeah.
And then if someone ever says that to you, you have to have the awareness to know that all people suck. So if someone says that to you, it's
Hold on.
because they know
Oh.
that you're in crap because they've been able to been through that crap. And
Right.
so the opportunity of other people being in crap.
Can I change your vernacular real quick?
Yeah.
People don't suck. Public sucks. Most people on a name-to-name basis are pretty okay. Most. I'm not saying all. I'm saying most.
So when I say people suck, I really just mean that we are all capable of being
Exactly.
amazing
We-
or shit.
Yes, I agree.
And that there's
I
not
just-
this
I
like
think people is the wrong term because everyone now says people suck, and the problem with that is you say people suck, and then an impressionable person comes along and says, "Yeah, all people do suck," and then before you know it, that's all they think.
okay. So when I say all people
Regardless,
suck,
but regardless of intention and regardless of how you're saying it, when you say all people suck, a lot of people hear, "Yeah, people do suck." I have an agreement with that. So yeah, all people suck. So no matter how good my day actually went, the people I interacted with, they suck.
So when I say that, I mean like all people individually have the opportunity to either be really like not okay or be really okay.
Yeah.
And there's this thing where like
I'm
people
sorry, I just wanted to
legitimately
touch on
think that happiness is a linear thing
Yes.
and you just keep going up and you never
No.
come down.
That's not true at all.
And just because somebody said to you, "Hey, why don't you check yourself?"
Right.
It means that you now have the responsibility to share that same experience with other people.
Right.
Because if I saw the same stuff with Dustin before too, Justin lived with him,
yeah.
and like
We all
Justin
saw
knew
it.
what he was going through.
Yeah.
But just because Justin was living there doesn't mean that I didn't have the ability to be like, "Hey, Dustin, what the hell's wrong, man?" Or like,
I
"Hey,
still to this
Bryce,
day-
I know that you live 8 hours away. How's life?"
I still to this day have resentment for how the last time me and Dustin interacted went down because I knew better. I'm an adult. I had the wherewithal. I knew his problems. And, the last conversation we had, it was just like,
Smoke and mirrors, man.
it was, but I knew it though. There's the difference. It wasn't that he was pulling one over on me. It was that I fucking knew what was going on, and I still chose to
And you
just
were
go.
like, "Oh,
Next
okay.
week he'll be here. Next week it'll be okay, and he'll get over it. And 4 days passed, and there was no more next week. It sucks. I fucking miss that guy all the time, and I know Justin misses him unreal. But I fucking refuse to let that happen again because to me in my brain, all I had to do was grab that fucking guy at that point when he was telling me, "Oh, I could have done better." I'll go on record. That video that we recorded for
You don't deserve this.
You Don't Deserve This, when Dustin's on screen, you're watching somebody at the lowest of lows.
Yep.
And that's why we have it up still. It's as a reminder that, maybe we wouldn't have changed anything. Maybe we wouldn't have. But you know what? The only one here that even remotely tried was Justin. The rest of us just went, it'll be better next week because it always, it always worked out. He said his things in passing and like, "Oh, life sucks," and this and that. And we all knew about his addiction problems, but the last time he said it was the last time we ever heard it. So it is what it is, man. And there's no
I
changing.
did that time I did say, "You all right?"
Yeah.
And he looked at me and said, "No."
Yeah.
Can I do anything? He said, "No."
No. Yeah. I said the last thing I ever said to him was in person was, "Oh, don't worry, man. The next one will be better." He said, "No, I could have done better." And then he turned around and walked away. And that was it.
So that was a bum.
And then, what's sad is that's still not the lowest part of that whole year.
Yeah.
I'm laughing now, but it was incredibly dark. Let's move on to John. John.
I feel like before John starts,
Okay. Todd.
we should just talk about things that are happy. Like maybe input everybody think about kittens and puppies.
I do have 2 new kittens in my house.
Right on.
Sweet.
So we can think
Right on.
about them.
Fuck yeah.
About 16 weeks.
Okay.
What color are they?
They are orange.
Oh, little golden kitties.
Little golden kitty cats. They've shit in my bed once. In retaliation for coming home late and not cleaning out their litter box.
Right. So tonight you'll have shit in your bed.
It's my
I
poop
can-
in the bed.
My bedroom door shut.
I can show you my girlfriend's
Jokes on
cat
them.
in a box that I brought that had some glasses, and this is the best picture ever in the world.
That's a precious cat.
He looks
actually-
he looks like a precious cat. He is a piece of shit.
I kind of want to meet that cat because all the pictures you post, he's like, oh, he's like Pinky, but he's not like Pinky.
He's a dick because he gets overstimulated when you pet him too hard. And he
Oh, okay.
I
so
too
does he
get
have sensitive
overstimulated
skin?
when you pet me
No.
too hard.
no, he's
Okay.
he's just a dick.
So
He's
I
a
don't
good
know. I don't know if anybody's story, John. I don't know. I don't really honestly know. I don't know much about you, bro.
Yeah, man. If we're about to get to a fucking deep space, let's just fucking do it.
I feel like me and Todd just went to the fucking edge of the earth. I want to say this with all respect to you as a person. Like, you count as all the things I've already said.
Thank you.
Like, I will
dude.
never let you leave this place if I feel like something else is going on in your life.
Well, let's just fucking ask him. Is something going on?
Yeah,
that's
man.
Bad?
Or what drives this unbridled passion that you clearly have? Like, that's what drove us to you, man. It was seeing your honestly, dude, your aggression. Like, you convinced us inadvertently that you were the right step in our
Yeah.
journey to be the next dude, because it was like, oh, this guy is he's obviously in our realm. Like, he's in there. You can see it.
Yeah. On it, like, there's nothing really, like, there's no one pivotal moment, I don't think, or situation that I dealt with or experienced in life that I can point to that, oh, Todd, you can squeeze past me if you need to, man.
No, he's seriously about to do this.
It's Todd, bro.
Todd is a difficult man.
No, there's not one particular, like, I guess if that's what you're asking, like, there's not one particular situation or instance in my life that I can point to that I can say, man, like, that ignited, my passion or my drive. It just, I really don't even know how to explain it, to be honest. Like, what what music makes me feel or what it does for me.
Can I ask, does it, I know for us, I feel like for the longest time we used it as a mask without speaking about it.
Mm-hmm.
We use it to mask our, I hate to say feelings and sound like such an asshole, but like,
yeah.
we definitely used it to do things and make sure that the rest of the week was going to be okay.
Right.
So do you ever like come to practice or your other band? Do you ever leave there and go, okay, man, good practice, good week. Like, I'm going to ride this high.
I don't really even know if that's how it is for me. Like, because I try not to it. I try and be stoked about practice, every time I go to it.
Of course.
And so I try and I don't know if it's something that, like, if it's just how I but like I try and practice isn't necessarily how I deal with the shit from the week,
Right.
I kind of deal with that day to day. In I don't know, whatever ways I do, I guess, but no, my like the shit that I go through on a day-to-day basis doesn't typically translate necessarily for me personally into my music. I deal with that in other methods, I guess, like because I had to deal with it, I guess, perhaps before I found music or before I found, like my, like how to, like before I took up an instrument that I could play and express my emotions through, I had to deal with the emotions anyway, and so
Right.
for me, music's just it's just that passion, it's just a fun, creative outlet for me,
Right.
So
Well, you couldn't have found us at a better time, or we
No,
couldn't have
I'm
found you. I
glad
should
you
say it the other way around. We couldn't have found you at a better time because, my God, before you came along.
Yeah, I was gonna say I seem to have like stumbled upon this at a pretty solid point in the
We're the most
timeline of my
we're
hands
the-
for.
I'm gonna say it in a Little Caesars fashion. We're the most bestest we've ever been, and it only.
Are we sponsored?
I wish, bro. I think really, dude,
Sponsorship I can get behind.
it only stems from all the crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Justin's about to speak and say.
Well, no,
his
you
piece.
you said most bestest, and my brain literally froze.
Yeah.
Like Justin.exe.
Mo
stopped
better.
working.
Most bestest. That's a pizza, and I love pizza, and Justin just slammed his head on the table.
It was his hand.
Shut up, Todd. God,
Enunciate real things that happen.
still ruining everything.
Say more right now.
That's cool, man. I'm actually glad that we got to a point that you can be here, man.
Man, no, I'm really
Also,
stoked
I'm
to
really
be here
glad
for
that you're
sure.
happy and we're needy.
Oh no, please, by all means, like don't get me wrong. Like I don't mean to come across as just this elated, like I'm fucking happy-go-lucky
Right,
const.
right,
Like I
right.
definitely have shit that I deal with day to day.
But not maybe on the same spectrum. Different.
think
You
I
handle
maybe-
shit differently.
I have
Oh, yeah.
not had what happened to you guys happen to me ever.
Right.
So
I will also say you're the most smiling person I have ever experienced.
and I would honestly go
thank
on
you.
to say that I hope it never does. I
I
hope you
do
don't
as
have to
well,
experience that because honestly,
It sucks.
even though, and this is no secret, Dustin was never going to be a full-time person after what happened.
He was a full-time friend, though.
But
Yeah.
the fact that it happened on this giant upswing, we were in the middle of the biggest uptick this band might have ever experienced.
Right.
We were just head first into this thing that was just unstoppable. And it was so unstoppable that 4 days later, after Dustin passed away, that we still accomplished the impossible.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I call it what you will. I don't really know what it is. You can call it universal, whatever. You can call it the world speaking. You can call it God. You can call it whatever you want.
Mhm.
It was
Huge.
till this day. I've never experienced anything like that from my drumming point of view.
Mhm.
Like, just playing it was so surreal. I honestly don't remember most of it. And I
Yeah.
remember we wrote a song called Existing Between Dimensions, and I physically can't play it because I just burst into tears. Because before any of that had happened, the song was already written and recorded. I mean, his fucking parts are on it.
Yeah.
He's playing guitar on that song. And it's about all that bullshit.
Mhm.
And we have
It
always
was about it, but we didn't know that it was about him until after. we
Right.
did it. So
Right.
like we have been a suicide prevention outlet
advocate.
advocate. Yeah. Really just like your life matters.
Yeah.
And so existing between the dimensions was all about like how My Hands to War had quit, and how really like I don't know how to explain it. Like the last year that we were together, we weren't really there. So it
kinda
was
going
about
through the
that.
motions.
So it was about this dormant thing that happened, and so it was this huge like when you read the lyrics, it's really heartfelt. If you were to say that it was written about Dustin, but we didn't know that it was about
But it
Dustin
wasn't,
until
yeah.
it was about My Hands to War and how dormant we were before we quit. And then, I mean, like for real, like if you read the lyrics, every sentence is about him, and it wasn't planned that
It's
way.
the most ironic thing.
Well, I think that was
Ever.
probably also because you all say that you all knew something was kind of going on, so
Yes.
perhaps subconsciously, what was going on with Dustin, was having an effect
Right.
on whatever it was y'all were writing about, and it's just so after that, fact.
Boy,
you find a
wait till we
secondary
get to
meaning,
what I
you know?
have to say.
Okay. I do want to get to that, and we'll.
Wait, we have to let him finish
Yes,
because we've interrupted him like 4 times.
That's true.
Oh,
I think John's in a good place, man. I
I'm
feel
in
like-
an okay place. I'm
That's
in
good.
an okay spot. I mean, I'm not really trying to get into a lot of personal shit, like on this particular podcast. But no, I mean, the personal stuff that I go through, I deal with it in whatever ways I need to, I suppose. But musically, music's just always been something that's secondary to anything I could possibly have going on. It's there.
Yeah.
And so whether I'm feeling super down or I'm feeling really stoked about life in general, I'm always like the creative cogs are always kind of turning in my head. And so I can sit down and pick up a guitar and, if I'm sad or if I'm happy, what I jam just happened. It's not necessarily indicative of what my emotions are at the time.
Right.
It's just whatever my finger, wherever my fingers and whatever takes me as I'm playing,
I
So
get it.
you're actually guided more by that than you are by emotion.
Yeah.
You're driven more by creativity.
Yeah.
Than a
Yeah.
bird.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Spirit.
cool, man.
That's
I mean,
impressive.
that's cool to know. I honestly was the same way until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I just kind of went with the flow,
Yeah.
and now, now I'm the most creative I've ever been. But honestly, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse.
Right. Yeah. We wish it hadn't happened, but what's come of it is almost beautiful in a way.
I've written the best music I've ever written, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, here we go. Here's the. We definitely saved the most intuitive to this for last.
Drum roll, please.
Yeah, Mr. Justin Cole definitely has his own set of. I dare call it demons, but thoughts.
I still have one interruption left. Just to go
I
back.
hate you so much.
I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna.
We don't have to get too deep, but
well,
you know.
I'm not even gonna necessarily. I can get deep like that, but
so deep.
That wasn't me.
But no, I'm not gonna take as long just because I know like it's getting kind of late and everything. So I can kind of basically put it in a more succinct fashion. My drive to express probably a good way to say it is you guys, you two being Todd and Cory, y'all were more angry when Bryce and Sid left. I felt so confused. Like that's what drove me, was that confusion, that mystified feeling of, because I was so used to my life having some sort of security, safety net, always something to fall back on just in
Right.
case. That's why I was very careful and cautious.
Yeah.
I was usually considered a safe option, like even growing up, just friend wise and all that stuff.
True.
That moment, that's why I still say it was the best practice, because you had you two being angry Earl having whatever he had, and then me being confused. You had 4 entirely different landscapes that were just smashing into each other all at the same time, and it created this spot, just this. There's something fucking mystifying and magical about that shed. I don't know what it is.
Almost
I think
profound.
it's to me it's like, you know, Todd and Taylor have their faith. You have your set of ideas. John has his set of ideas. I have my set of ideas. That place to me is a holy site. That is my profession of faith, is in that moment when I'm creating sound with whoever wants to be in there with me.
I agree with that 100%.
So yeah, that confusion kind of led me to, in my mind, once they left and we realized what we wanted to do from that point is just to focus that aggression, harness it, and push that forward. That's when I personally started playing with a purpose. When I had a message, regardless of if I was doing vocals or not, I wanted to fucking go ham on stage. I wanted to destroy everything in my path. I wanted to create the most gnarliest sounding shit and have my dudes behind me, backing me every step of the way. And then, you know, fast forward a couple of years, I'm writing like my own solo stuff, and it's Millipede to me is more so just like self-profession, and like I get out everything I need to. It's not that I can't in this band. It's just there's another vehicle in the room.
100%.
There's another vehicle on the road, and I get to share that with you guys. Whereas Millipede, it's all me. I can give probably 2 instances that go to my lowest spot just to like, you know, give you guys some perspective. So, you know, we're playing these new songs, John. So we've got Loud, Gasp, and Empty Rooms, which is probably, I would say, the least directed about Dustin, because it started out as a thematic album. Ursula Kingdom is going to be a thematic album. Was going to be a thematic album. Every song was going to have tie-ins just to the idea of death, because I brought the idea to Cory and then to Todd. Death is something that is expressed and talked about in all forms of medium, art, film, music, photography, anything you can think of. Death is personified, death is amalgamated, and death is requested. I guess it would be like a strange word. Like, death is sought out by certain people. Not even necessarily people who are suicidal or all this stuff, but just the idea of death,
romanticized.
Yeah, thank you.
And we don't understand it.
Exactly.
So,
we've never got to that point. You know, the person that we can consider the most would be Dustin.
Well,
we can't talk to him.
It's the weirdest thing where it's regardless of what you believe, no one truly knows what's after the proverbial rainbow.
Yeah, that final journey, you know.
Yeah. So
I imagine it's the Flower Road from Coco.
I still haven't seen that yet.
What is wrong with you? It's on Netflix for free.
No, I know that. I want to make sure I'm in a decent enough place before I watch it.
It's Cry City, bro. I don't give a fuck where you're at.
Coco? Is that that's an animated flick, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How
flipping amazing.
Cry City, bro.
How much more did you cry at Coco than you did at Moana? Because I cried like a bitch during Moana.
Okay, I cried during Moana.
No, Moana's not real.
Didn't even see Moana.
Hold on. I haven't even seen all of Coco because I had to walk away.
Okay. All right.
No, I was like,
you.
yep, not ready.
I believe you. Okay, so
remember me.
Stop. You suck.
So
though I am so far away.
I haven't seen it.
Interruption.
So you know there were these thematic ties with all these songs that are going to be on this album. Then before Dustin passed away, I had written this piece of music that I called Insignias. It would be technically track 7 on the CD. But at the time it didn't have words. And I was like, musically, this is not my best work. This is kind of a generic spot, minus the clean part in the middle that I really, really like. And when it kicks in the end, it's basically like, I don't know. To me, it just felt like this is not I'm not expressing myself right. This is just like a collection of a bunch of jumbled shit.
Right.
Then once I started writing the words, which were inspired by a couple previous months, when Dustin was like really bad into his heroin addiction. So I had these songs, or had this music. I started writing the words, and then it's like, I mean, it all just came pouring out. It was inspired by him, but it wasn't like directly about him. Like there was nothing in there that directly put Dustin in the situation, but it was just like inspired by his situation I had seen firsthand. So I'm writing these words, and still the hardest line I've ever written in my fucking life is in that song, and I mean, it's so important that this song gets done and recorded. I know I'm going to. So it's the idea behind Insidious to me is essentially when you give up and you want to end your life, the people that come take you aren't just necessarily, it's not like the Grim Reaper. It's basically these kind of strange figures in these dark cloaks with just like, I would say like runes, I guess, but like just very bright shining runes. And they have like these like gravelly hands that come out to touch you, and they just basically, you know, they're like, it's time to go. They're like the ferry to the underworld and like Greek mythology type thing. So that was just like that was the idea of what I pictured when I wrote these words. But like some of the lines are like, a cold dark place is the last destination you want to be when you're alone, but you invited your ego deaths openly. That was inspired by Dustin, but it gets to the middle. And it's like, before you were here, you assumed travel was your own therapy to heal. You saw spirits chanting in languages you'd never seen on scrolls or heard on your TV. Every reaper you think that has passed by your door all died the same way, anxious and scared of the unknown. They want to break you, rid you, strip you, empty you of your discontentment. Your debt's been phoned in. Your death means less than my disappointment in you. That was about him, straight up. And when I finally finished those words, I sent them to him, and he was like, "This is the darkest shit you've ever written. I don't like this, but this needs to be done."
Yeah.
So I sat him down in my room. I played the song, and I pantomimed all the words and how I wanted them to sound and everything. And he was just sitting in my computer chair. I was sitting on my bed, and he just looks at me, and he just, you know, Dustin was very emotional. Dustin cried a lot. It was really easy to make him cry. And he just like, he's like, "Dude, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you, man." He's like, he got up and walked to his room, and he shut his door. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't feel bad at all. Yeah. And like 15 minutes later, he came back in. He was like, "Sorry for saying that." But he was like, "Dude," he's like, "This song means more to me than you will ever be told by anyone." And he's like, "Who else has heard it?" I was like, "Nobody. You're the first person to hear it in its full first form." So Dustin passes away. We're out here all night. Me, him, and Todd, the three of us and Todd's wife are out here till like 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning easily. I'm obviously not going to stay in the house.
Well, we're not. We're all trying. It's one of those things where we're all like, none of us want to leave. None of us want to go to sleep. Because the reality is so thick that maybe if we just don't go to sleep, maybe it's not real.
Exactly. Sure. There was a lot of disbelief that whole night, but I basically was like, well, I was like, I'm not staying at the house. I'll stay here for a couple nights. But I was like, I have to like go get clothes. Like, I'm disgusting. I need to like shower, change. I want to feel good. And Todd's like, "You're not going alone." He was like, he's like, "I'm gonna ride with you back to the house, and if you can drop me off at my house, you know, then you can go back up to Cory's." All right. So we get back to the house. We walk in, like no one's obviously there. His dog's there, so we let him out, like, because he was still in the room. Yeah. And like Todd and I are just like kind of staring at an empty room for a second, and then, you know, we both walk in. It's heavy. It's not dark, but it's heavy. Yeah. Like, part of the hammock's still there. The chair was still there. All of his shit strewn about his room, and like I go shake a pack of smokes. He didn't even leave me a cigarette. Bastard. So, well, yeah, exactly. Like I made that joke. I made that joke, and Todd did the awkward laugh, like.
What I said to that was too soon.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I don't, whatever. So then he and I are talking about stuff while I'm getting clothes, and then I don't know why I thought it was a good time at them, but I was just like, hey, I was like, do you want to hear a song that he heard before he died? And Todd was like, sure. So I play about the first half of Insignias, and Todd stops it, and he goes, I can't be in this room right now. So he goes outside for like, what, 5-10 minutes?
I don't think I went back in.
No, you did, because we finished the whole song.
It was hard.
Yeah. But anyway, I sat him down, and he was like, play it for me again, start from the beginning. So I did it. And at the time, Todd was still kind of on the fence if he wanted to about like delve that dark into topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
yeah, because the conversation.
He was into the idea of the thematic idea of death being prevalent in every song. Like the word death is going to be in every song. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
But like, he didn't realize it was going to go that dark.
Gotcha.
Because I'd written loud gasps and then operating in overhead oceans. I'd
Yeah.
written those two. Those only two I had lyrics for at that
The
time.
ideas were there for all of them.
Yeah. The music is still like, I still need to finish it, but the music's all up here.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get through the words to Insignias, Todd said, I didn't know you meant this dark. And then there's like a quick pause, and he's like, but I'm in. He's like, we have a story to tell now.
Yeah.
So that's one where you can use rock bottom to, express. Go ahead.
No, I was,
and I've got one more.
Go for
This is fairly recently. This is going to be the first single for the next Millipede album that I'm working on. I wrote a song called "Be Still and Know That I Am Gone."
Yeah.
It's not about suicide, but it is about me kind of coming to terms with not being a part of the faith anymore. And just that song title just came to me like it's like a dream. Sometimes I don't have like scenes. It's more like just words. I've never been inspired by anything from a dream before except for this. So like the lines, blah blah blah.
I find that kind of ironic.
What's that?
You were inspired by something
I
that
saw
was
in
a dream, but you're saying that it's like the point in time when you realize that you're walking away from faith.
Oh no, I'd walked away from my faith a long time ago.
Okay.
But
Sorry.
I'm just saying.
Just want to throw that out there.
No, I'm just saying that this is the song that I finally feel comfortable with releasing, telling people like, if you don't know, now you know. Like, and I feel very comfortable in saying it. I'm very like the song itself is like it's easy. It'd be considered easy by my standards, but I'm just the chorus. The chorus has a real good hook.
Them's high standards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like. It's going to be heavy in certain parts, but like most of it's like kind of predominantly singing, which is not something I'm really known for. But like me finally writing that song and like coming to terms with like I don't believe anymore.
Yeah.
Like now I'm at the point where I don't feel like I have to hide that. Like if someone questions me about it, like I can just be like, look, man, I can give you instances on where I feel I lost my faith, and there's not really any coming back from it for me. And that's, every story.
And that's just right now, too.
Yeah.
We still got a whole life to live.
Yeah. I mean, you never know what will happen. Maybe
Right.
in the next 5 to 10 years, Jesus comes in on a
Right, dude.
Velociraptor with rockets.
You might be the most religious person we ever met.
Yeah.
It's literally, that's what's cool about life, man.
Growing up when I was in high school, there was a dude who never went to church a day in his life until he met his ex-fiancée. I mean, he's married now, but he met a girl that he was going to propose to, and she started taking him to church. Now he's one of the quote-unquote holiest people I know. It's some dude I've known nearly my entire life.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, just this drive from me now, I can't do this half-assed.
No, there's no more of that.
That's like even sometimes in practice when I'm not going as ham as I could be, and all that stuff. Like, I mean, today, like I'm wearing sandals, and I went harder than I've gone in a while. Me and John were banging heads.
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool that I think to try to bring it full circle, it's cool that we all have this same vehicle now. Like John, you're new to this whole thing.
We all have driver's wheels.
But we all, for the first time, even I think Todd can attest to that, we all actually care.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time ever, man. This is it. This is the first time where everybody in this band actually gives a shit about maybe not the music.
Certainly a solid time for me to hop on
the
board.
full output.
But the output for sure. Like, I think we don't exist without all the shit that happened. And I think that none of us now are going anywhere so long as, and dude, honestly, if the bands don't last forever. This clearly isn't a forever thing, but I think all of us have an extended lease on life because of all the bullshit we've been through.
Oh,
Like,
easily.
We know now that, what happened to us had a massive effect on a lot of people. A lot. I don't think a lot of people will ever truly know how far the reach and the devastation went with all of the things that happened. But one thing we can all take away is that we were so close and so pervy to everything that was going on that it's life-changing. We're never going to look back and be like, oh, remember, like it changes forever. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. I'm not, and I never will be. It's, as sad as it sounds or whatever, I'm not trying to make somebody feel sorry for me. What I'm trying to do is tell somebody, like, the whole idea behind this episode was it doesn't matter how low it gets. There's a high point. And like, we're happier than we've ever been. We're doing the best music we've ever written. We're even in both of our bands, like it transferred into everything else we're doing. Like,
Easily.
there's never going to be a time, I don't think, where we write the music that we're writing now that it's going to be as good as it is right now. And I don't mean that as like, oh, in 2 years it's going to be shitty. I think there is a poignancy to what we're doing. There's a purpose. And I truly do believe that this is going to affect people in a positive manner. We're going to let our negative emotions control the output of our creation. And it's going to come through as just this, I don't want to say like beam of light, but it's going to be, it's the most real thing we've ever done.
Some sort of tour de force.
And it kind of might be the most real thing we ever do. And that's mine and Justin's both bands. I can't speak to all y'all's stuff and all y'all's side projects, but I know for a fact that when we're writing in the room that we all write in, it's never been more magical, it's never been more real, and it's never been more heartfelt and talked about than it ever has.
Yep.
And no one gets out of this thing without I don't know. No one gets out without.
Well, no one gets out, or we all get out.
That's it.
There's no you leave by yourself. Someone's coming with you.
Someone. And that's cool, man. And I want to end this on a high note. Like, we talked about these things because this is stuff that needs to be talked. Dude, this is the realest thing that happens to musicians, man. And this is, there's a very, oh my God, man, there's like 6 popular bands this year that have this exact same story.
Yeah.
Chester,
Chris
Cornell. What's the guy that it just happened to?
Kyle from We Came as Romans.
We Came as Romans, man.
Wasn't there a girl that was, or there was a guy that was dating, he was a rapper.
Mac Miller.
Oh yeah,
Mac Miller, yeah, the rapper. Dude, okay, so this is not something that's
Aretha Franklin.
Listen, well, but she was old. She died from old age.
Right.
I'm saying
She was old.
the incredible heartache that follows something like this is not unique to our position in the world or in anything. And regardless of our belief systems, we've all come together to make this message that we all agree upon. And I think if there's anyone listening that might have any kind of reservation about how they feel, no one's in this shit alone, and pay attention to the ones that are speaking up because they care the most.
Yep.
You might think that there's no one that does, but they do.
Yeah.
And if you, I just say it, if this is touching you in any kind of way, just comment on anything from here, and I swear to you, we'll make an effort to get to you. Like, I think more than anything that all this shit, all the bullshit, not only has it made my creation, my music better than it's ever fucking, because I mean, dude, it's nothing but smiles in that jam room. Like, even though it's the darkest shit I've ever written about, it's just like me and Justin will stare at each other and it's just like, dude, how the fuck did we write this? This song Cowards would blow your fucking mind apart. It blows my mind that it even came out on my fingertips. I suck ass in my mind. So it's just like, how did we write this?
Yeah. I love that song so fucking much.
It's so stupid and so good. And even the new shit that we're writing, like we played tonight for the first time, our whole set all the way through, our new set. I missed a note. Fuck you, Todd. I missed a fucking note. I missed one
That's
note.
not what I was going to say, but I'm
Okay.
glad you're insecure about your life right now.
Let's end it on a high note. I
Right.
suck.
Yeah. That's my kind of high note.
Hold on. Weren't you the one earlier that said people don't suck?
Except for myself.
Eat your fucking words, asshole.
I will. 100%.
I would like to
Sack.
say,
That's knuckle taps.
we spent a lot of time, or really the majority of the time, in this podcast talking about how creativity and beauty can come out of tragedy and sadness. But along the same lines, it's like if this is speaking to anybody, it's also important to keep in mind that take the wins, take the small victories.
100%.
And celebrate the small instances of positivity. If you got out of bed today, that's fucking great. Nobody asks any more of you than that.
Yes.
If you did your dishes, or if you picked up took out the trash, like
Yes.
any small victory is a fucking win.
It's a win.
And that's
right.
what it takes. It's the small victories. It's the small steps that get you, where you need to be ultimately.
Back to square one, man.
And so if you can make beauty out of negativity, you can also make it out of positivity as well.
Right.
So
That's a great way, man, to
Boom. Just say mic drop, John, and we will close this down. 'Cause that was fantastic.
That was good. That was good.
This has been a very real experience. I thank you guys for joining. That was Justin's butthole. Mic drop for John.
Hold on, wait, one more time. Justin, could you say something else?
Pina colada.
Moo!
All right. I'm glad we're all here at this point. You see this fun. You hear the fun. It wasn't like this a year ago. It took a lot of heartache and a lot of bullshit to get to this point. And John, you said it perfectly. And to anyone who's listening, you're loved by people who don't even know you. Yeah. And I think the only thing left to say is our normal closeout. And does anybody have anything else to add to this?
Be on the lookout for Ursula Kingdom sometime.
2019.
Yeah.
Obviously, late spring.
Yeah.
All right.
Boom.
All right. Other than that,
Show on the 19th. Come to it.
My Hands to War and Couch Jackets and Sean Michelle featuring the one and only Jukebox Baggett on October 19th. Be there or be square. And as always, with love, and thank you so much for listening.